that loads okay. Alright, these are all on my current version of the game, so that's encouraging. None of them have mods on, or I don't have any mods left over.
Savor the sweeter things in life.
No! Culver's is advertising they put Skittles in ice cream. When will the horrors end? When will the horrors end? Version of the games, that's encouraging. Mike sounds fine. How's it going, gang? How's it going? I'll let people gather for a brief moment before we get started here. Your own Summer's here. How's it going? Kinko is here. Hey, Spotify, Enda, Milky Way. Enda's playing. I can see that. Spotify, you playing today? Yeah, he is. Unlucky Spotify. Playing Norska. Dude, what is going on with all these noobs? All right, all these noobs. Hate it. Turin, now Spotify. I'm sure a lot of other people. Noobs. So here's a Dust Bunny is a noob. Everybody's a noob. And here's what I mean. You guys are terrible, and I am great. You heard there's news of Norska DLC coming, so then you start playing Norska now? Bro, you're gonna burn out on Norska, and then the DLC is gonna come out, and everyone else is gonna start playing Norska, and you're gonna be like, I'm so sick of Norska now. You can't do it. That's the wrong way to do things. I saw Turin playing Norska on his stream last night. Wrong. You gotta save yourself. You gotta save up your will to play Norska until the DLC comes out, because then you're gonna be grinding that shit on repeat. Nah. Not about it. So, as such, I will not cast any Norska games today. If anybody plays Norska, I will just skip their replays. It's what has to be done. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'll cast them. Everybody shut up. Stop yelling. I'm just filling awkward amounts of time till people arrive. There's a Norska DLC? Yeah, Norska was announced as a second faction. So we know it's Slaanesh and Norska. Slaanesh and Norska are the DLCs for sure. And then I've heard rumors around the third one, but I don't know what I'm supposed to talk about because I also have some content creator insider information. So I'm like, wait, what was a rumor I heard from an unsubstantiated source? Or what was a rumor I heard I wasn't supposed to talk about, you know? One of those things. So I don't really want to speculate where it's like, I'll pick a safe one because they just had a DLC, but it's like, oh yeah, did you guys hear the rumor of Greenskins of the third faction? That's pretty wild. And then people are like, what? No. Where did you hear that? What? No. And I'm like, oh, never mind. Never mind. I didn't say anything. I watched your Skaven multiplayer guide before this. All my losses are your fault and clearly not a skill issue. Damn it, Milky Way. You losing? Better not be losing. So let's get started on the actual thing. I'm just going to pull up the bracket on my screen so I can see how the tournament's going. We have Big JP's weekly Saturday tournaments. There are new player tournaments. There are advanced player tournaments for Conquest and Domination. So 4 tournaments happening today at the same time. I believe Tequila Sunset, Maverick Sloth are also streaming some of the Domination content. I tend to focus on the new player Conquest stuff. I did talk to JP about maybe hosting some of the advanced player Conquest stuff. But this week he didn't get enough signups, and that doesn't surprise me. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I'm just being realistic. Traffic on Warhammer 3 multiplayer, at least in the Conquest and Land Battle side, has been significantly slower as people are just kind of tired of the meta. So I don't think the advanced player tournaments are going to have a lot of participation, and it looks like today they didn't even have enough to run a tournament. Does not shock me. The new player tournaments are usually a little more popular because they don't play the meta anyway, so they don't burn out as quickly because they're not playing the same matchups. They're not playing the same builds all the time. They're bringing some wild shit. So pretty good turnout for today's new player tournament. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 players here today. There are 4 Swiss rounds where everybody plays 4 games no matter what. And then at the very end, the tournament host generates a top 4, 2 semifinals and a final. We will cast the 2 semifinals and final live, but until we get there, we will just cast random games people submit. And I will focus on trying to get everybody on stream at least once. So let's get started. We have Mata versus End of the Lion. Zinch and Wood Elves. can't wait to watch me some land battles. It's Conquest, which is pretty much land battles. It's pretty much. There's no reason for it not to be high elves, otherwise there'd be no goody faction there. That would be a first. Grieven, but what about vampire counts? Vampire counts have gotten 1 DLC since Warhammer 1. Warhammer 1, bro. I don't know if I've seen Mata. We've seen End of the Lion. End of the Lion, if I remember correctly, is usually playing vampire counts, but it looks like today he switched over to Wood Elves. So we have 2 Way Watchers, 3 Way Watchers, no. 2 Way Watchers and a Deepwood Scout Starfire Shafts. 2 of those as well. Then Eternal Guard, Glade Riders, and Wild Riders with a high caster up in the sky with Tempest and Apotheosis. I like this a lot. Tzeentch has a ton of flying units, but almost always a flying lord. So if you can just use Tempest and use it as a slow, 60% slow, that is quite nice, and some decent damage. Though we can see Kairos did pop Oracle of Eternity, minus 44% damage coming in towards him, so he's very tanky against that. Then we have an Exalted Hero of Tzeentch, currently dueling with a bit of blue fire support. Soul Grinder of Tzeentch, a bunch of blue horrors, marauders, and some weird spawn and Knights of Immolation. A very tight Tzeentch build, probably low model count. I suppose both are. And damn, Spellweaver High Magic took a lot of damage. The Exalted Hero is trying to pursue her, but he might find that difficult, even though he is crazy tanky on his tiny disc. The disc has high armor and stuff, but that's not what makes it tanky. It's just how small you are is what makes it so tanky. Still, it doesn't want to fly directly over Way Watchers. That would be pretty bad. Spellweaver High Magic is back, and she does have Apotheosis, so she'll be okay as long as she can make the damage stop. Kairos throwing in his Tzeentch's Firestorm. Hopefully he has good RNG on where those little vortexes go. If they go into the Wild Riders like this, paired with that Gaze of Fate net, that is going to be pretty huge. Yeah, that is a giant Tzeentch's Firestorm. Entirely annihilates a whole Wild Rider and does half HP off of a Deepwood Scout and a Glade Rider. That's got to be insane value. I wonder what Kairos is at. Yeah, 1700 from that cast and a couple blue fires. That's pretty nuts. Soul Grinder's continuing to pressure the Spellweaver of High Magic, who is falling back. And now Tzeentch is moving up. The Wood Elves hold the conquest point, so I guess Tzeentch feels pressured to move up, but the Wood Elves would have to hold this for 10 minutes, so I don't think they have to be overly hasty to get in here. Knights of Immolation land. Basic Wild Riders are going to charge them. Ooh, but the Great Stag Knights, there we go. I was going to say, these aren't the Wild Hunters of Kurnos. They don't have armor piercing, so the Knights should be fine, but getting rear charged with the Great Stag Knights and still getting shot by archers overhead, that's going to be really brutal on a high value target. So I think this is going to be a big win for the Wood Elves that they need. Speaking of a big win that someone needs, Tzeentch is finishing off the Spellweaver of High Magic. Soul Grinder, Overcasted Blue Fire, and the Doom Bolt, all going to take her out. But she gets an Apotheosis off as she's routing, and the Doom Bolt misses, saving her life. She will definitely rally. She has that Elven leadership, and she needs to get really far away and just cast 2 or 3 Apotheoses off in the distance. She can't return to the fight until she has some more healing, otherwise the next Blue Fire will just kill her. Wood Elves are trying to engage in the melee. It is pretty difficult. A lot of their melee units are more defensive than offensive. These Eternal Guards really don't do much against Blue Horrors. Like, they'll eventually win, but it just takes them a long time. And a lot of their cavalry is not armor piercing, making it difficult to really punch back against some of these units like the Knights of Immolation. But they did eventually get rid of those guys. Big win for the Wood Elves. Meanwhile, some Deepwood Scouts. Oof, unlucky here. Book of Secrets gave the speed and weakness to fire damage twice in a row. No Fate of Buna, which he really wanted. The Way Watchers are continuing to fire in. I guess I should be offering more advice in the new player tournaments. I generally try to. Seriously? That Wood Elf lady didn't rally? Oh, well then they're doomed. Okay, losing your lord is pretty brutal. I am shocked she didn't rally. Anyway, I try and offer advice on new player streams, and I should try and focus on that, I suppose. For the Wood Elves, I liked their build. I thought their build was pretty solid. They did run into the problem of most sniping builds, and that is, you're a sniper. You need to kill stuff one at a time, and it seems like they kept getting distracted and like switching targets. Like, they took Kairos's barriers, and then when the Exalted Hero overextended, they shot him until his barriers were gone, and then they started shooting at Kairos again, and they're firing at Blue Horrors a little bit, and they just didn't finish anything off. So I think they had to commit to something and absolutely crush it, because as they got spread out, Tzeentch just got to abuse their barriers. And also Tzeentch on the other end, they also had a sniping build, and notice how they focused everything on the Lord, killed the Lord, and now they're focusing on the archers. And they're just kind of ignoring the front line. They got some opportunistic firestorms and some of the Wild Riders, and that was huge, but it wasn't really their goal. They just kind of took opportunities presented to them. But Tzeentch was a little more focused, and now Tzeentch has a decent lead on the bounce power. It wasn't terribly played. I'm not like, wow, the Wood Elves really dropped the ball. It's just a minor thing I noticed. And you could say that Tzeentch, on the other end, you could say Tzeentch did a good job cycling out what was in range of the archers. That's also true, but, you know, I think the Wood Elves need to realize that they're being led around a little bit and do something to change the situation. Either get aggressive, push up your Eternal Guard and attack these Blue Horrors and Soul Grinder nice and early, so that your archers can follow along and get back in range of Kairos if Kairos is your target, or get back in range of the Soul Grinder if the Soul Grinder is your target or something. Because they just kind of played back on the point, which is decent. But the capture point takes so long to win that I don't think you can take the point and really just rest on your laurels in a lot of situations. It's more of take the point if your opponent's going to run away, but at least force them to run away first, because that also pushes them out of range of your Wood Elf Lord. So I'd like to see some little improvements. The final Book of Secrets did finally get a Fate of Buna, which they wanted for quite a while. The Weird Spawn got absolutely massacred in the background while I was ranting about what the Wood Elves maybe could have done. They were full health just a second ago, and now they're literally dead. Kairos is very low, Exalted Hero is very low, and Tzeentch does not have a lot of forces left, so I honestly think the balance of power is being a little harsh on the Wood Elves right now. Sure, the Wood Elves are also very low, but I feel like it's getting close to army lossing the Wood Elves when it's like, okay, neither side has a lot left, so why don't you just calm down, Mr. Man. Now, to not constantly dog on the Wood Elves, to mention some things Tzeentch could also work on. That Soul Grinder just wasted 2 volleys on a shattered unit, so you definitely don't want that. And it does feel like Tzeentch is getting a little complacent with their victory, in that this full health Soul Grinder isn't over here terror routing all these archers, allowing the archers to fire for free on the Blue Horrors, on the Exalted Hero of Tzeentch, stuff like that, where, you know, Tzeentch is getting a little lazy in the late game and it's getting scary. Oracle of Eternity, damage resistance is up. Kairos is less than 1,000 HP. If those Way Watchers can get a good shot on him, honestly, still might get him to Demonic Instability Crumble. Good little blue fire on the Glade Riders, but a solid dodge from the Wood Elves. The Wood Elves are playing this late game fantastically. I think they were put behind nice and early, as we all saw, but from that behind spot, they've been scrapping it out really, really good. Kairos is taking a lot of damage, so is the Exalted Hero. I'm so worried that army losses is just going to count the Wood Elves out, but I really would hate for it to do so. Kairos is crazy, criminally low. As the Way Watchers get a final volley towards him, he's probably going to dodge most of those arrows. Yeah, none of them really hit him. None of them proc that Demonic Instability. The Exalted Hero is also retreating. Still, being on that disc makes him so small. A lot of these arrows are just flat out missing him because he's teeny tiny and they kind of have a bobbing motion to when they run away. So you can see, look how many arrows are just missing him. This is exactly what I'm talking about when I'm like, in our Tzeentch guide, I was talking about the disc mounts make them crazy tanky. And you might look at their stats and you're like, I kind of get it, but I don't see what's so tanky about them. It's that smallness. Bounce power shifting horribly far away from the Wood Elves. Again, I think it's a little early, but I would agree. I'm not trying to be a dick. I would agree that Tzeentch is ahead. I just don't know if we're in army losses territory yet, because a stiff breeze could knock out Kairos. And if Kairos dies, the Exalted Hero is going to rout too, just from his low leadership. But there's the army losses as the Soul Grinder dives in. While the Wood Elves were definitely robbed of a couple more minutes of life, I don't know if that would have changed the whole game. Good game from both players. Again, really good scrap back from the Wood Elves. I loved their play after their Lord died. As soon as their Lord died, they locked in and just started killing fools. How did his Lord get 0 value? I saw a Tempest onto Kairos. I guess barrier damage doesn't count, so that's a bit unfortunate. It is what it is. Deepwood Scouts and Way Watchers did fine. Cavalry did a great job blocking for them. That one Tzeentch's Firestorm wrecked a Wild Rider, but that doesn't mean it was the wrong decision. I think Enda's Cav was always where it needed to be. Kept his archers online for an insanely long period of time, so that's very good. GG's, lads. GG's. How the bloody heck would vampires fit in a Tides DLC? Hey! Luther and Count Noctilus ended up being pirates. They were normal vampires before they took to the seas. You don't know. Just joined the stream, but it seems round 2 didn't even start for some, so I'll rewatch the start of it. What up, Mallow Morgan? Yeah, that was our first game we cast. Wood Elves are my worst fear because of Enda. Damn, what did Enda do to you? What's the Wood Elves' biggest counter? Lots of heavy cav. They don't really like fighting heavy cavalry. Hey, Wuzzy Bravo. Xenomorphs, you're not far off. You're not that far off. We're loading up Unlucky Spotify versus Romeo, Norska versus Kislev, a battle of the Northmen while I continue to catch up on chat. Did you see Legends YouTube tier list? Yeah, I did. He put me at the top. He said, Human Boy is my favorite channel ever. I couldn't agree more. And it's a tough learning curve. I think you did great. I don't know how much of that game's commentary you caught, because I know you're playing in the tournament right now, so you might have missed some of it. I don't want to repeat too much for the rest of chat, but, you know, you might have been there. Who knows? But the real quick would be, I loved the second half of your game. I think if you played as well as you did in the second half, you would have won. But you were playing from behind when you really turned it on. So, you know, take heart in that you were making the correct decisions and your micro was really good, just too late. So early game mistakes can cost you, which happens. Alrighty. Spotify versus, I believe it was Romeo. Let me rewind on the stream so I don't do this man disservice. Yes, Romeo J23. Kislev and Norska. For Norska, we have Marauder, Great Weapon Frontline, plus the Icehorn Marauders, ROR regular. Then we have some Norscan Ice Wolves on the flanks, and I thought I saw one regular Norscan Warhound up in that blob of dogs. We have Wulfric the Wanderer on his Mammoth with Seafang, Fight or Die, Hunter Champions, and Foe Seekers, so like a fully kitted out Wulfric. Remember Fiend of Shadows with Pit of Shades and Melkots, and then Scylla Onfengrim with his Rampage Explosion, and then Slow Mortis Engine. And a couple Jav Throwers. Not a bad Norscan army. Very different than what I usually see, and not just like, in case people out there are trying to copy-paste these builds, you generally don't see Scylla much because he's very squishy and expensive with not a lot of self-healing capacity. So that's a little different. The rest of this build is very fine. So the only not meta thing here that I wouldn't recommend you take unless you're just having fun is Scylla. Scylla's fun, have fun. But if you're like trying to super sweaty try hard, I wouldn't take him personally. He's a little too expensive. For Kislev, we have Warbear Riders, which I haven't seen in a hot minute. We have Tsarina Katerin also on a bear with Heart of Winter, Frostblades and Icebane's Kiss, a couple Streltsy things in the woods, and Ice Guard with Glaives. That's cool. This is a cool Kislev build. It feels very release Warhammer 3 though. I haven't seen Warbears or Katerin on a bear in a very long time. As Norska is going to butcher through the front line, these Kislevite warriors don't stand much of a chance against the Marauders, and Wulfric is helping out quite a lot. On the flanks, Kislev is doing a bit better, with Griffin Legion supporting things in the woods, fighting some dogs. That should go well for them. But these Warbear Riders are getting completely massacred on the front line. Overwatch fire from the Marauder Hunter Javelins doing great damage. Then they're fighting on armor-piercing infantry and slowed down by Norscan Ice Wolves. So if they wanted to run away, they'd run away with a pitiful 53 speed. Now in the center, things are going a bit better. Wulfric did overextend a bit, and his giant mammoth body makes him just a target for these Streltsy to fire at in point-blank range. A Pit of Shades is going to shut them down, but he's already lost half his HP, which is more HP than Katerin has entirely. So an entire Katerin and a half has already died inside that mammoth. Ice Guard with Glaives, now realizing they're going to focus fire. They were shooting at some other stuff, but realizing Wulfric is in a compromised position, I think they just want to once and for all snipe him, and he was about to get away with that Pit of Shades, so they really want to shut him down. Ice Guard are trying to get some shots out. They're firing at an angle, and that does sometimes make a couple of the archers not fire, and now they turn on to Scylla instead, which can be a good little shot. Wulfric's about to charge these guys, but the problem with the Ice Guard with Glaives is they're also hybrid halberd units, so he is going from one bad situation to, unfortunately for himself, another. Scylla blows up the Streltsy and rampages them, getting a bit of damage out. Meanwhile, Norska's frontline adventure is starting to fall apart just a little bit, but the main problem for their balance of power is how much damage Wulfric is taking, because he's so expensive and such a giant HP pool that losing 11,000 HP is super brutal. So he's going to route now. We'll see if Norska can bail him out, and at least just let him get off into the distance, because then they could maybe get their shit together. But if Wulfric dies, I mean, their leadership problem is just going to get worse, which they're already having a bit of a problem. But these dogs would route, Icehorn Marauders would route, those Marauders that are trying to rally would route, and hey, look, he died. Let's see how many of those things are true. There go the dogs. Icehorn Marauders thinking about leaving, but then they rally. What's going on right now? Hold on. No, okay, I was hovering the wrong thing, because I was like, they have positive 29 leadership with a bar that low. Now it's back to 25. What is going on with these guys' leadership? 4, 25, -4, 29. I don't understand. They're back up to 40. Anyway, Scylla's taking the fight with Tsarina Katerin while there is some Overwatch fire from these Ice Guard with Glaives. Kislev's taking a solid lead, but Norska's getting a bit of a second wind. And Scylla could turn this around. He has stats for days. No one's complaining about his stats. They're just complaining about how easily he can die for how expensive he is. The Ice Guard do need to turn and offer a little bit more supporting fire. You can see they say they're firing without clear orders on who they're shooting at. Only a couple of them are going to fire at any point in time, as Katerin tries to clear out some of the Marauder Hunters. I'm trying to figure out why the balance of power is so bad for Norska. I understand why it's bad, but I don't understand why it's like army loss is bad. I guess it's because these Ice Guard are full health and they're like 1,000 plus gold, but I mean, you're about to lose Katerin. Everything else is incredibly tattered as well. Sila's getting very low. His Mortis engine is still slowly applying on these things in the woods, but he is constantly getting chipped down. 30 melee defense and 50 armor, not keeping him safe enough from all those wolves as he tries to get back to Katerin, but he just can't. 80 HP, 33, and Sila is down. The unbreakable hero core that Norska was relying on is gone. Vermeer Baleffiend is back in. If he has a Pit of Shades, he can actually unironically turn this game around, but oh no, he mistargeted it. He throws it behind the Ice Guards, doesn't throw it directly on them, and they start to dodge forward. That is a very unfortunate casting placement. Now you can see only a couple of the Ice Guard are stuck in the Pit of Shades, the rest move away. But if he had been able to kill that whole full health Ice Guard, this balance of power could have shifted right back to the middle. Nice Ice Maiden's Kiss from the Tsarina. Poking these guys down to about 600 HP. If we could get any javelins back, one solid javelin volley would take her out for good, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. There's enough things in the woods to keep running down whoever returns to the fight. I just don't see it. A Melkoth's onto Tsarina slows her down, but it really doesn't do that much damage to a single entity. Now, charging these Marauders with great weapons is a problem. 34 melee attack against their 45 melee defense really isn't that big of a difference when, you know, they have a lot of attacks versus you, so a lot of opportunities to actually get the hits in. The Vermeer Baleffiend dies, though. No more magic for Norska, no more leadership buffs of even being near a hero. The Tsarina is down to less than 100 HP, but she is just barely pushing to safety. 69 HP, very nice. But even if they kill her, I don't know if they can turn this game around at this point. Army loss is going to hit for Norska any second. And some of the Kislevites are starting to rout, but we still have this nearly full health Ice Guard that should be able to weather the storm. I mean, everybody else for Norska is routing, so it's really just like, kill these Marauders and you're fine. Damn, close game for game 2. Good try from Spotify and Romeo. Good tries. Wulfric, there is a reason you often see him on his horse. His horse is just more reliable, cheaper, and lower to the ground. Whereas the Mammoth, if you don't get the right charge animations, that's the thing, is it's not even the right charge angles, it's the right charge animations. So there's a bit of RNG in which animations you get, and then there's the problem of being 10 stories tall and very easy to shoot, so Kislev just pin cushioned him outright. What's the Wood Elves Skaven counter? I have a build I beat Alfredino with, but I don't know if it's consistent. I had 3 Warp Lightning Cannons and 4 Globes. That was very funny. Because, like, everything the Wood Elves have is weak to Globes, except for Way Watchers. And then Durthu was very common, so I took 3 Warp Lightning Cannons to just pincushion Durthu and force him to die. Any cavalry or infantry you have died to Globes nearly instantly. But that build was pretty heavily indexed that he wasn't going to triple Way Watcher Kite. Next up is Scott versus Goodgits. As we load in, I'll check for more replays. Got some Tomb Kings versus Lizardmen. All right, I see the game is there. I'm just busy saving some replays. I'm back. Leadership is a suggestion unless you play with rats. Terror Stag is very funny. It is very funny. It's not great, but it's funny. Fun builds in game. Yeah, GG indeed. All right, let's do this. For the Tomb Kings, you have Nehekar Horsemen, Ushapti, Skeleton Spears, some Sporkle Stalkers, the Chosen Gods of Ushapti Great Bows, and then Cetra, the Imperishable on his Kitty Cat, with Hussarian's Incantation of Vengeance and his Explosion. You know, aside for the Lizardmen, Skink Skirmishers across the front line, a Fire Slan with Burning Head, Banishment, and Blood Statue of Spite for 3 damage abilities, 2 of which are bound, 1 is Winds of Magic, triple Temple Guard, 2 Saurus Warriors, a Salamander Hunting Pack, and then some Cold Spear Riders and Feral Colons. That's wild. The rest of this build, I was getting it until the Saurus frontline. Temple Guard. Temple Guard. I'm ready to be wrong, but Temple Guard are generally considered to be trash insanely low melee attack and melee defense for a elite halberd unit. Not that much armor, to be honest, and they're just too slow. Like, there's too many downsides of Temple Guard for the upside of they give Guardian and they have some armor-piercing weapon strength, I guess, but I don't know. Other halberds put them to shame. Nice burning head down the line, but the Slann did extend past his front line to get it out, so he is taking some free Sporkle Stalker damage, does need to fall back. That already weakens up the front line, though. I like that cast. Let your Saurus get through them even faster as you Shopti run up to meet them. In the back line, Nekar Horsemen are trying to harass the Salamanders, but looks like we have plenty of Cold Ones and Skink support. Just isolate those guys. They should be able to kill them off and keep the Salamanders safe-ish. So the front line's getting engaged. Slann has another banishment out, so Slann's really helping here. And one of our Temple Guard is already dead on the advance. He already terror routes. That is a large reason why you don't see a lot of Temple Guard. This is going to be great, though. Temple Guard surrounding a new Ushapti that's just desperately trying to hold them from walking back towards the ranged units. So those Ushapti will die. Good for the Temple Guard there. Other Saurus already at half HP and thinking about terror routing, so the big cat's proving to be problematic as other Temple Guard walk forward. But the Slann has obliterated the skeleton front line, and that is going to be problematic, because a lot of the Tomb King's damage is ranged damage, so they need to be able to sit and fire, and if you're constantly waddling away from Temple Guard, that's just going to limit your damage output by so much. It won't get rid of it, right? Your Chosen of the Gods can kite away from the Temple Guard, but instead of standing and firing on cooldown, they'll be like, fire, run, 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 fire, run, 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 run. So it reduces their damage output by like 60%, which is huge. Saurus Warriors getting peeled away by Cetra and terror routed, but another Burning Head trying to go through multiple Spearmen, though these Spearmen are going to try and dodge it. The Slann is trying to hide in the trees and at least make the Chosen of the Gods work for it a little harder. Some of those split arrows are going to have to get over a lot of trees to get to him, but they are still getting shots in, and Cetra's even going to come finish the job himself. Meanwhile, Temple Guard got onto these Sepulchral Stalkers and they're getting really good damage out, and we're running out of Tomb King spears to hide behind. Slann is probably doomed. Cetra has arrived, and he has enough damage to kill that Slann. Shield the Old Ones gives him a little bit of leadership, but he does terror out. Leading entire armies of Tyrannosaurus Rexes does not mean you yourself are immune to being spooked. Skink Skirmishers have arrived in the back line, and these Temple Guard continue to just battle against the Skeleton Spears. You can see their lines are thinning, so they're getting very close to dead, but are the Temple Guard just too slow to really get to the back line? We'll see. Sporkle Stalkers should have kited away. They stayed in melee with the Temple Guard, and that did prove to be their downfall. So, yeah, the Lizardmen have some issues here and there, but I don't like that the Tomb King stood their ground. They should have been retreating with their ranged units, and now they're suffering quite a lot. Now the Chosen of the Gods are even just sitting on the Temple Guard. So, yeah, unfortunately, not utilizing the speed of your weapons teams, because you have 44, 43 speed on these guys. They can easily outrun the Temple Guard, but they just didn't do it. Ushapti Summon is here to take care of some Skink Skirmishers. Now the game is on Cetra's back, as the balance of power shifted heavily against the Tomb Kings. Cetra is waddling away as some Nekar Horsemen try and chase a Slann. 800 HP left on him, and he will rally unless Cetra can finish him off. And this might be the death knell for the Tomb Kings. Fully surrounded by anti-large, armor-piercing Cold One Spear Cav. Then there's more Feral Cold Ones surrounding him. All the while, we're going to have some overhead shots with these Salamander Hunting Packs. That should be the end of Cetra, and without that, the balance of power is just going to shift impossibly far against the Tomb Kings, so they'll get army lost here. Ushapti Summon also keeping them alive with 38 seconds. I don't think the game will go on that long, but as soon as that Ushapti fades away, army losses will hit for sure. So, game's either going to end in 29 seconds or sooner. Mark my words, if the Tomb Kings live past that Ushapti summon, de-summon, I'm quitting YouTube forever. There's army losses. The Slann even rallies in his face. My tea is finally cold enough to drink. By cold enough, I mean not a billion degrees, not that it's room temperature or anything. Cetra got some fine value. Nekar Horsemen and the Skeleton Frontline had a tough time. Sporkle Stalkers did okay. Chosen Gods did okay. For good gets, Slann got good damage out. Temple Guard overall did fine. Armor Piercing Cav did fine. So far I'm going 1-2 lab. There you go. There you go. With new player tournaments, it's not about winning. It's about having fun. Skaven Lizardmen round 1. Okay. I'm just trying to make sure I know where I'm saving replays. Why did Wes ping me? Wes, how dare you? I'm typing beep boop. Refresh bracket so I can see where the tournament's at. Most people are in round 3 and round 4, so we're cruising along. Let's keep going. Demons of Chaos versus Skaven. We have Sen Fishy and Milky Way. Fireball Phoenix, I'm quaking at your return. I'm sorry your D&D was canceled, though. Wesley Bravo, I saved it. But also, if you ever ping me again, I will ban you from YouTube. And not just from typing in my videos, like from YouTube. You don't get to enjoy YouTube anymore. All right, Demons and Skaven. Usually you see Be'lakor here, so I'm already excited not to see Be'lakor. Spirit Leech and Fate Abuna from a Death casting Nurgle Herald, who also has the healing AoE. I like that combo, that's pretty solid. Then we have Chaos Furies of Khorne, Nurglings, Fiends. This is a solid build, some Seekers too. Yeah, you don't need Seekers against Skaven, otherwise I really like the Demons of Chaos build. Now again, the meta... Whoa. This wolf rat got ganked by Seekers in the background. Anyway, the meta is to take Be'lakor. He is very, very good against Skaven, but he takes up so many of your funds, he is just trying to 1v9 the entire game, so it can be difficult. For the Skaven side, we have Rat Ogres and Clan Rat Spears holding down that front line. Gutter Runner and Night Runner slings and 360 shooters in the background, some Storm Vermin Halberds in the very far back, and a Grey Seer of Ruin with his summon and a Howling, not Howling Orc, Warp Lightning. I don't hate this plan. You don't take anything fragile, so everything the demons take a fight with, they're gonna have to attrition out for. Like Gutter Runner slings can fight back okay. That being said, there's a reason I hate Gutter Runner slings and I never take them, is that their melee stats don't justify their cost. You can see the Furies really aren't taking any damage in return, and that's because 25-28 still does not make good melee stats against aggressors. So, unfortunately, the Skaven player running into why I think Gutter Runner slings suck, as those Furies are going to rout him after taking almost no damage. But that being said, I think the whole build is fine. Like the Gutter Runners, the Night Runners, 360 shooting should be able to do some decent damage. Seekers killing off the Wolf Rats super quickly. They've already gotten onto the Gutter Runner slings, or again, just dying slowly. Rat Ogres trying to fight back against Seekers as well is pretty tough. We have some Storm Vermin just chilling. They do have to find a fight, and they have to find one quickly. The Skaven had superior melee, but they kind of needed to tighten ranks a little bit because the Seekers and the Furies and stuff are finding gaps, and then the Storm Vermin just aren't in position. You can see now they just walk forward and start piling into this fight. And sure, it's against Fiends, and that'll go fine, but you have 3 Spear units all doing the same thing right here. Well, you have entire open areas where the demons are just running through and murdering everyone. So they do need to tighten up a bit. Grey Seer's getting sniped out. Seekers plus the Spirit Leech doing a lot of damage to him. Does get the Dreaded 13th summon out. That might be a dead Seeker if they hang around for too long. The Storm Vermin Halberds will tear through those Seekers. But it seems like the Demons of Chaos are plenty happy to sacrifice the Seeker for just a little more damage onto the Grey Seer. Because Skaven are the faction that it is the closest to, honestly, snipe the enemy lord and you just win the game. So losing a Seeker hero there for that value isn't a big deal. Storm Vermin and Rat Ogres have rallied over there. They're getting good damage back on the Nurglings and Chaos Furies, so that's going fine. But the Demons do have a lead, and I would definitely agree. The Nurgling frontline is annoying for the Skaven to get rid of. Their spears don't have the highest damage outputs. The Nurglings are lasting a lot longer than these guys would like. Seekers charge back in onto the Halberds, again, sacrificing their lives, but they just really want to kill the Grey Seer of Ruin. It might be a little impatient for my taste. They could just wait the summon out, then kill the Grey Seer for free, but I understand the temptation to just finish that Grey Seer. He's so low, but Demons are slowing down. They're losing some Seekers, they're losing some Nurglings, which is pretty bad. So they're realizing this game isn't in the bag just yet, and they do need to cross their T's, dot their I's if they're going to win this. You get some rallying Night Runners and Gutter Runners who are trying to fire back. Nurglings hitting them in the rear might get those guys to rout, and the Grey Seer gets hit with classic Spirit Leech, which is problematic for the Skaven. Skaven losing a Rat Ogre. Meanwhile, these Storm Vermin Halberds are fighting a bunch of Fiends, which is probably the best they can hope for. But nice Locus of Fecundity out from the Herald of Nurgle, healing up those very expensive Fiends. as the halberds are thinking about routing. The Gracier's trying to get over here and offer some kind of support. He's down to 500 HP. Probably has one spell left he can get off before a Spirit Leech is going to force him to rout, so I wonder what he'll get done with his time. Warpstone Scroll is out. Good, slow on the Chaos Fury's Acorn, but also the damage is pretty huge. Oh, he risked an Unholy Clamor and did not overcast, which is nice. I mean, it's a good spell, and I also risk the overcast quite frequently, so I'm not criticizing it, just saying it was a little risky. Warp Lightning is huge. Wow, but Army Losses comes in just as the Warp Lightning goes down. It was going to get rid of those Chaos Furies. Good win from Sen Fishy with a different Demons of Chaos build than I'm used to seeing this matchup. Seeker's still going burr. Chaos Furies of Corn did fine. Fiends did pretty fine. For Milky Way, it was an interesting build. I'm guessing Gutter Runner Slings got pathetic value. Yeah, pretty bad. So I wouldn't bother taking them. Milky Way said they saw my Skaven guide, so I'm just going to check something really quick. Well, not check, but just offer something. So Gutter Runners are trash, and why do I say that? Because... So Gutter Runners cost 3 times a Skaven Slave Slinger, and they get double missile strength, which means you could afford 3 Skaven Slave Slingers, and then have 100 extra gold instead of a Gutter Runner. That's pretty difficult to continents. And then let's say you have 2 Gutter Runners and then 3 Clanrat Spears to defend them. That's roughly 2,400 gold, roughly. We could have 2 Skaven Slave Slingers and 2 Storm Vermin to defend them, and that's roughly 2,500 gold as well. Let's see. 2,100, 2,500. Yeah, okay. So these are pretty similar. So the Gutter Runners just cost you a lot, because it's 500 gold to have more than a Slinger. So I think if you cut your 2 Gutter Runner Slings and replace them 2 Skaven Slaves, you could get a couple more units that could do you a lot of good. Another thing I also like versus Demons of Chaos, if you care, is an Assassin stripped down to just Rivalhide Talisman. Minus 40 melee attack on Seekers is really brutal, because then it lowers their attack to like pretty much 0. Yeah, it puts them at 0 melee attack. So if you have an Assassin sitting next to Wolf Rats or something, Wolf Rats can tear apart the Seekers, but if you lower the Seekers melee attack to 0, then that helps the Wolf Rats out a lot. So it can be nice. Or if he's next to your Gracier on the Bell, lowering again their melee attack to 0, the Gracier's melee defense will actually keep him pretty safe. There's a couple things that might help if you play that matchup again in the future. Moving on. We saw this, but from the other side. We have Gerrit versus Phoenix. Ooh, a Giant versus Durthu. I am intrigued. Just go Skaven Slave Slinger instead of Gutter Runners, yeah. I generally don't think they're worth it, just because of the cost difference. Like, it's huge to go from a Slinger to a Gutter Runner. 500 gold is a lot per unit, and you just don't get a big reward out of it. And I think that's more that Skaven Slave Slingers are insanely cost-effective than it is a shot at Gutter Runners. I think Gutter Runners on other rosters might be useful, but when you have Skaven Slave Slingers, it's like, holy shit, you have some of the most cost-effective low-tier archers in the game. We loaded in quick. Gerrit versus Siegfalt. For Gerrit, on our greenskins, we have Goblins and Orc Boy Spear front lines, a couple Orc Armor Boys, the Swamp Things and Stone Trolls, a Giant, and then a couple Goblin Wolf Riders, Silver Chevroned Savage Orc Boar Boys, Broken Tusk Mob, and an Orc Boar Chariot. For a Lord, we just have Goblin Great Shaman with Vindictive Glare and Itchy Nuisance. For the Wood Elves, we have a couple Glade Riders with Hagbane Tips, a Dryad frontline, a little more aggressive than Eternal Guard. Then we have Durthu with Sword of Daith and Flock of Doom, the Enigmas of Gyron, Blade Singers, and the Wild Hunters of Kurnos. So a very elite Wood Elf build, as the Dryads have already gotten through the Goblin front line. Now the Orc Armor Boys are just going to have to hold their ground. We'll see if any support is coming soon. Giant wades into the Dryads as they get through his Goblin support. But Itchy Nuisance is down, trying to lower the melee attack of everybody around Durthu. Neutering the race of the Frozen Heart a little bit as the Enigmas of Gyron pile towards the Giant. Now, where are the greenskin support troops? A lot of them are vibing in the background, and they do have to get aggressive here. The Giant is getting surrounded by Enigmas. The front line is falling apart, and still these guys haven't been activated, so they do have to get moving. Savage Orc Boar Boys have lost half their HP to just getting shot by Skirmish Cav. First Wa is out, but most of the greenskins are either routing or AFK. We do have to get in there. Stone Trolls helping out some Orc Boys against Dryads is going well. Orc Boar Chariot's going to chase around the skirmish cap is fine, but these guys have to commit to the front line. Probably have to kill off some of these infantry, and someone has to support the Giant as he fights all alone against the Enigmas. Enigmas and Dryads piling up around his feet. He's already lost over half his HP as some Orc Boys get chased around by random skirmish cav. Goblin and Wolf Riders trying to find a home. And now some of the Stone Trolls are getting active. A lot of units are chasing those fast skirmish cav though, so those skirmish cav are just going to lead them into the sunset and not really ever take a real engagement. Wolf Riders come to the Giant's defense. Unfortunately for them, everything here is ITP, I think. The Enigmas aren't. They just give cause fear, but Dryads are immune to psychology. They can't tear her out, so that rear charge won't make them like flee or anything. Another itchy nuisance is here as Stone Trolls and the Savage Orc Boar Boys pile up on Durthu, but Durthu also has Blade Singers and the Wraith of the Frozen Heart at his feet, so he has plenty of support, and not a lot of people are going to be able to actually get onto Durthu and get good damage out. Meanwhile, the skirmish cav still leading away a lot of slower and more expensive units. That is a huge win for the Wood Elves as we start to get some Stone Trolls to come back here. But the greenskins definitely don't want all those units out there chasing like that. Sword of Daith ruining the Savage Orc Boar Boys and the Stone Trolls. The Giant is here, 4,000 HP still, and he is ready to at least give Durthu a little bit of a slapping on his way out as the Enigmas rejoin the fight. Durthu and the Wraiths are here. Stone Troll's going to rejoin in as well, though one of them is terror routing. And that Giant just wants a fight with Durthu. Just a good old-fashioned brawl. He's getting poisoned. He's down at 2,000 HP as the Enigmas, the Blade Singers, and these Glade Guard are all pin cushioning the poor Giant. And Durthu is just ignoring him, which is adding insult to injury. Nice big flock of doom on the Orc Boys. Sorry, those are Goblin Spears that are trying to come back. Another Terror Route's going to come out here for the Stone Trolls, leaving the Giant all alone. He will also route, and that might just start the army losses cascade. Wouldn't be shocked, just there's too many units routing at the same time, so the greenskins might lose heart and flee. Goblin Great Shaman sitting at half leadership while at full HP. Can't say I blame him. Is the Swamp Things and the Broken Tusk mobs. There we go. I was forgetting their name. They're way off in the distance. The only real forces for the greenskin here is the Goblin Great Shaman, who is fleeing on his wolf. 92 speed, going to carry him to safety. Go, little goblin, go. Ooh, the Wild Hunters of Kurnos are actually on his ass. He has more speed technically, but when has that ever mattered? Warhammer is a game of vibes. If the Wild Hunters of Kurnos feel like they can catch him, they can catch him. Swamp Things and Broken Tusk Mob finally give up on chasing the skirmish cavalry around. Look at this little goblin running away from all these guys. Kind of want to see the charge. I hope they don't army loss before the charge comes in. Oh, masterful tactics from the Goblin Great Shaman. He groups them up so that they don't countercharge the Broken Tusk Mob who come riding in. The boys! Cast a Vindictive Glare at point blank range is now going to let the Wild Hunters of Kurnos get surrounded and beat up by the Orc Boar Boys, but they are getting poisoned by these Hagbane tips. Shot in the back and army losses is a hell of a drug. It's going to be GG. Tell me the Enigmas of Gairon are trash. They're not trash. They're just expensive as hell. But if they can fight a large monster like a dragon, they'll be fine. Martin B with the Canadian 28 bucks. Bonjour, bonjour, monsieur, human boy. Do you come from Quebec? Or are you just memeing on me, Martin? I am curious. If you are in the French-speaking parts of Canada. Because I'm in Minnesota. So we're just the American-speaking parts of Canada. But we are a part of Canada. We are. You just don't know it yet. One day in your parliament, some representatives from Minnesota are going to show up and you're like, wait, when did this happen? And I'm going to be like, it's been happening the whole time. We've been voting. We got some Zin Money, Dust Bunny. I know Wes wanted us to cast one of his games. Did he submit any? I know he submitted one at one point. There's Milky Way again. Wes, I know I saved one of your games. Do you have a Discord name that's different? Let's see. Where was that ping? Nurgle versus Norse. There you are. So you're Thagaraki. Hey, we get some Nurgle. Kukinko, you still in chat? Kukinko, if you're still in chat, there's Nurgle up here. Okay. I don't want to leave Zin Money hanging, but Wesley Bravo has been pretty excited, so we'll cast some Wesley. Your Thagaraki on Steam. That's what I was looking for. Unlucky Spotify again on his Narska. Taking Throg this time, not Wulfric, but he is still rocking the Scylla Onfengrim. Thagaraki, first match on the stream so far. And the tournament's already in round 4, so we'll have semifinals and finals soon. I do want to still get everybody at least once, so we'll make sure we do that before we turn the stream off today, don't you worry. So, we have 2 Plague Drones Death's Heads, one of which is Angels of Decay. We have a Demon Prince of Nurgle with Spirit Leech and Fleshy Abundance, double Soul Grinder of Nurgle, including the Noxbringer, and then Plague Bearers and an Exalted Plague Bearer mini Fortress box. This game is not the most interesting. The one I play against Wood Elves is better. Game 2, I think. I don't know, dude. I cast what you submitted to me, Mr. Bravo Man. On the other side, we have Scylla, Throg, Skinwolf Werekin. Oh, so no caster for Spotify. That's probably going to be painful. Marauders, Famir, Norscan Ice Wolves, and the Beasts of Tashnar. These Plague Bearers are probably going to have a terrible time, but I don't know what Norska can do against the Angels of Decay and the Plague Drones. They have literally no flying or range units, which can be a big problem. Scylla's already lost a third of his HP. As the Demon Prince of Nurgle lands on him, Cloud of Erosion lowers his armor from his own Noxbringer. Rip in peace. And Scylla and Throg are now 2v1ing the giant Demon Prince. But they are surrounded by Plague Bearers. They are getting shot by the Angels of Decay. Famir with their great weapons do good damage to Plague Bearers, reduce their armor to literally 0, and also the magic damage gets past their physical resistance, so that's quite nice. Meanwhile, the Norscan Ice Wolves are streaming in, gonna harass the Soul Grinder of Nurgle. They are just a nuisance. They're large, you can't push through them. Slow him down so he can't run away either. Another Spirit Leech is out as the Demon Prince dives back in on top of his Exalted Plague Bearers, so you're fighting on the enemy support and he's cycle charging you. That's pretty brutal for the Norscan units. It looks like they're trying to retreat. Throg is slowly regenerating while Scylla is unbreakable. Those are really the only 2 things those guys have going for them. As the rest of the Norscan build collapses in on the Nurgle blob, 1 Norscan Marauder stayed behind to capture the point. I like that. Generally, when you're dealing with blob builds, especially blobs that are going to try and heal like Nurgle blobs do, it is smart to get that point ticking up because in case the game goes long, you want that extra win condition just in case you need it. Throg and the Norscan Ice Wolves harassing the Soul Grinder. But the Demon Prince is going to be able to kill Scylla soon, and that's going to be a little bit of a problem. Mostly because of how expensive he is. Scylla... Wait a second. So Scylla brought his tail, his serpentine tail. Why is it not proccing on these guys? It's only proccing on the Demon Prince of Nurgle. His tail has such a small Mortis Engine effect range. Enabled if in range, effect 10 meters. Ew. 10 meters is not a lot. So these Plague Bearers that are right next to him are not getting hit by his tail. Yeah, that's another reason a lot of people don't like Scylla, is his Mortis Engine effect is crazy bad. Anyway, he has died. There we go. Immediate Spirit Leech out on the Skinwolf Werekin, which is doing good work onto the Soul Grinders. And Throg is also trying to help with the Soul Grinders. And now Throg and the boy is going to try and stop that Demon Prince from getting back into the sky. But Throg has some jank issues, I have noticed recently. He seems to have problems swinging often. Like if a single dog is between him and his target, he just doesn't have the reach to swing at it anyway. And he's really slow to turn. So Throg's having issues keeping after this guy. Skinwolf Werekin gets knocked out. Throg gets stuck on his own Famir. Hence the rise of Wulfric. I do think Wulfric is just a little more consistent in these battles. Plague Bearers of Nurgle getting somewhat low, but they're Plague Bearers of Nurgle. I have a lot of complaints about Plague Bearers, but tankiness is not one of them. They're slow, they're weak to missiles, yada yada, they don't do much damage or whatever, but if you engage them in melee, they take forever to die, which is their whole point. I understand that. Norska's pretty close to killing off both the Soul Grinders. They did get demonic stability out of one of the Plague Bearers. The Demon Prince uses a Spirit Leech to finish off that Skinwolf, make sure he doesn't come back at all. Smart. I mean, the Skinwolf hero can, of course, regenerate, like all Skinwolves can. Throg is getting absolutely annihilated by the Plague Grenades, and he gets rear charged by the Demon Prince. That should cause him to rout. And then there's no hope for him coming back as long as Wes keeps this Nurgle character going after him, which he should do, of course. Norska's dogs will all run out of leadership if Throg dies. There's no reason to let him come back. He is shattered, so you only have to pursue him if you want to kill him. It does cause a larger leadership debuff. It looks like Army Loss is going to take Norska out anyway. And a pretty effective and scary Nurgle build. Grievin, that was a good commercial. I saw that commercial on YouTube. Hey, you can't slap my kid. Bam. Unlucky Spotify, more like unlucky Throg jank. Throg. Nurgle versus Norska versus Dark Elves. What else versus Nurgle? Okay, there's End of the Lion versus Thagaraki. Maybe we'll get to that one. Maybe. I gotta cast everybody else at least once first. So we have Zin Money versus Fernández. I think last tournament I cast, Zin Money was in it, and I cast almost every single one of his games. We can't do that again. My lawyers contacted me and said that kind of favoritism cannot be shown. But I just happen to think that him and his opponents had interesting builds. And Fernández definitely keeping the dream alive. We have a Kadai Destroyer and a Magma Cannon. Chaos Dwarves versus Vampire Counts. Let's do it. So for Zin Money, barded Black Knights with Lances and Barding. Then we have some Fellbats for some harassment. Feasters of the Dust, Crypt Horror, Crypt Ghoul ROR. One Blood Knight, Manfred von Karstein on his Dragon with Spirit Leech, Gaze of Nagash, and Invocation Heck. We have a Necromancer on the ground with Lesser Raised Dead, so we have one zombie summon in this whole game. And then we have Crypt Horrors and Skeleton Spearmen. Now aside for the Chaos Dwarves, Kadai Destroyer paired up with Astrogoth Iron Hand. Ooh, already a big chunk out from the Gaze of Nagash of Manfred. Anyway, Astrogoth Iron Hand with Flamestorm, Cascading Firecloak. We do have a Magma Cannon, 2 Infernal Guard Fireglaves, 2 Hobgoblin Archers, and then Goblin Laborers, Chaos Dwarf Warriors, and more Goblin Laborers all around. Not a lot of mobility for the Chaos Dwarves. They're going to have to keep it tight. But they do have some spooky artillery and a big monster. Though if the Vampire counts just play this slow, they can snipe out that monster with Spirit Leeches and Gaze of Nagash. Though a beautiful Flamestorm is already going to kill an entire Skeleton Spearman, it looks like. It's massacring those poor boys. Now it kind of spirals off into Crypt Horrors, which won't do much damage against, but it is what it is. Neither side has captured the point. The Vampire Counts don't want to leave the trees just yet. They're setting up flanks before they do, because they don't want to present themselves to these 2 Infernal Guard Fireglaves for no reason. Now the Fellbats are falling on the Hobgoblin Archers. Try and disrupt those guys, get rid of them. Feasters in the Dusk are still setting up their flank. So yeah, now you can see, as soon as the flying units got engaged, now Zin Money is starting to advance. So he's definitely just waiting for the bats to be in position. Bats are also trying to harass the Magma Cannon. It might throw on guard mode and just try and ignore them. We will see. There's not a lot of infantry for this Vampire Counts force. We'll see if they're enough to cause distractions. Manfred has to fly into the jaws of death. He is taking so much damage. Why did he stop here? No, Manny, you got to keep moving. Breath attack. That will be a decent breath attack. Not at as long of range as I would have liked, but I don't like that he parked in front of them to do it. But still took half HP off of a very expensive unit. So that is for sure a good breath attack. I just don't know if it was worth that much damage on your guy, but we'll see. I mean, he has plenty of healing. He is a Vampire Count Lord. Of course he can heal himself up. Of course he'll be fine if he stops taking damage. So if the Vampires can slow this game down, they'll be just fine. Good damage and good disruption onto the ranged tools of the Chaos Dwarves. The Magma Cannon hasn't fired in a while as those bats have been harassing it. The other bats already shattered off the Hobgoblin Archers, and another nasty Gaze of Nagash onto the Kadai Destroyer that's now surrounded by Spears and Crypt Horrors. The one thing I'm worried about is Manfred not taking the zombie summon. Gets rid of a lot of your free late game infantry that you just get to summon over and over again and be a nuisance. Blood Knights are in the back line disrupting these guys and harassing the Infernal Guard Fireglaves, both of which are on super low leadership. So if they rout, this actually could be a disaster for the Chaos Dwarves, because the Vampire Counts for sure have the mobility advantage. I mean, Chaos Dwarves didn't bring any mobility. But they are rallying enough to get some guard mode shots off onto Manfred. He's going to heal himself. He is on fire, of course. He's fighting Chaos Dwarf. He's going to be on fire for this whole game. So he only gets half the healing, but healing is healing, and he desperately needs it. The only zombie summon of the game is out. It's here to harass the Kadai Destroyer as Manfred gets back into the sky. Crypt Horrors go clubbing through these Infernal Guard Fireglaves. The hybrid halberds should do okay against the Crypt Horrors, but someone's got to stop them from shooting at Manfred for free while Manfred gets back out of range. Black Knights, Lances, and Barding have just tough decisions to make. They can either chase stuff off all game, or they can get in there and try and help disrupt as well. Looks like they're going to chase stuff off all game, but that could be potentially disastrous. It's a very nice breath attack from Manfred. Takes out half HP from a Chaos Dwarf Warrior, maybe gets them to rout soon. But the Magma Cannon and the constant poke of the fire damage is doing so much damage to Manfred. He's got to back out, cast Gaze in the Gaseous from afar, give himself some Invocation Hex, and come back into the game later, unfortunately. Bounce power is heavily against the vampire counts, but they can come back as we have Blood Knights running around. And this is a big pile up onto Astragoth. Astragoth is nearly impossible to kill. You just need to ignore him. He needs to be one of the last things you fight. So these Blood Knights, these Crypt Horrors have got to go get onto the Infernal Guard Fireglaves, which it looks like they're starting to do now. And that's going okay. The Fellbats are still harassing the Magma Cannon, not getting much damage out. The Black Knights chasing around these Goblin Laborers. I don't hate chasing stuff off. That's fine. I don't know if Goblin Laborers are worth chasing off. I would really like them to rear charge these Hobgoblin Archers. I think that would be more worth it. Cascading Firecloak trying to keep these Infernal Guard alive, though the Feasters in the Dusk have reached them, so there's some actual infantry in here to do the extra damage. And I don't think the vampire counts are out of this yet. Again, if they can just slow the game down, I think they're fine. They've taken a lot of damage, but I'm more worried about some holes in the Chaos Dwarf's build that can be exploited. Like the Kadai Destroyer is generally not taken for a lot of reasons. Black Knights did finally dive onto the Hobgoblin Archers, so that could be a mass rout on that side as long as Manfred doesn't die here. Guard mode on these Infernal Guard is getting some decent damage out. Manfred's stuck. He doesn't want to land on them because he's right next to the Kadai Destroyer and Astragoth, but he also doesn't want to let them keep shooting him, so looks like he's gonna try and land on them, but he's just kind of juking it for now. These Fellbats are actually doing amazing work on the Magma Cannon. It's taking them forever, but for Fellbats, I mean, this is nuts. Just let me see the Fellbats value. There we go. 537 for them. Yeah, that's quite nice. Blood Knights continuing to harass. We did get an Infernal Guard Fireglaive shattered, which is very nice for vampires. They don't have to chase it down. Look how low Manfred is, but he's still getting the work out. He's still doing what he has to, as his Hunger and Sword of Unholy Power are healing him and getting more Winds of Magic as the Magma Cannon fires right over his head. Still, his Infernal Guard refused to rout. And it looks like some Black Knights have joined the Fellbats and trying to shut down this cannon because they're sick of near misses on Manfred. Balance of power is heavily in the Chaos Dwarf's favor, but I honestly think this is a 50-50 game right now. Really, both sides have a lot good going for them. Another Gaze into Gash on the Kadai Destroyer, just getting it nice and low. Magma Cannon, again, barely misses Manfred. Just barely, as the Fellbats continue to try and rout it with the Black Knights. I do hope at some point the Fellbats can peel off and chase something. They're really good at chasing these Hobgoblin Archers and stuff, and the Black Knights can maybe deal with the Magma Cannon. As the other Infernal Guards are routing, it looks like Blood Knights and Feasters in the Dusk won't let them get away. Manfred did use some healing on the Crypt Horrors. Hopefully he has the Winds of Magic for it. Who am I kidding? He has a Sword of a Holy Power. He has unlimited Winds of Magic as long as he can find something to melee for a little bit. And he is. Nice Flamestorm, though. Do the Vampire Count see it and dodge it? Black Knights dodged it by just wanting to charge these Goblin Laborers. The Fellbats unfortunately didn't seem to see it in time. They did take a big chunk of damage. Now they're considering crumbling away. The Infernal Guard have rallied, getting some shots off. The Vampire Counts coming back in the Balance of Power like I knew they would. I told you they weren't out of this just yet. I did tell you. You didn't want to believe me. Now the Kadai Destroyer is trying to guard Astragoth with his life. And his life might be coming to a swift end as Manfred does seem to be lining up either another Spirit Leech or a Gaze of Nagash onto that big boy. Infernal Guard, throw guard mode on. They're trying to fire at Manfred before they rout, but in comes the Kadai Destroyer to peel the Feasters in the Dusk. Unfortunately, his charge animation sucks, as it always does. I think I made a video about this guy at one point, but I did say something about his charge animation is really goofy and bad. He takes enough damage that now he has lost that Unbreakable passive of his, Burning Bright. He can Demonic Instability crumble at any point. Bounce power is 50-50, and you can see these Blood Knights are just living their best life in the background, chasing off everyone. Black Knights could be joining them as well. Vampire Count's in no rush. No one's captured the point. They are slowly healing. The Crypt Horrors have regeneration. The Blood Knights have hunger, so they're healing as long as they're chasing stuff. And Manfred, of course, has healing and spells to cast as long as he has something to chase down and get more Sword of Unholy Power stuff. So Vampire Counts did a great job slowing down this game. You can tell good Vampire Counts play. It's not always, you don't want to be slow for the sake of being slow, but being slow for the sake of abusing your faction's various healing passives, winds of magic generation, winds of magic selection. That's what makes a good Vampire Counts player. But people who just get really impatient and are prone to making mistakes by just diving in, overextending, that's a huge problem for the Vampire Counts. So I like the slow play. Manfred took a lot of damage very early on, some of which he didn't need to. I'm not going to pretend Zin Money played this perfectly, but he recovered very well. He's like, okay, I have tons of healing. As long as I back off, as long as I play it slow, I'll be just fine. And now Astragoth's getting picked off. Bounce power shifted into the favor of the Vampire Counts. But did he overstay? Manfred gets very low before getting back up into the sky. Just so saying nice, good, patient play. He gets a little impatient, takes a duel with Astragoth for too long. And the crumbling starts coming in. Manfred's slowly losing HP. He's going to try and charge back in for the charging leadership buff. You can see charging plus 15 just as he gets in there, just trying to buy a little bit of time. It looks like he didn't want to fully commit to that. He just wanted to get the charging leadership buff. And then Astragoth hits him as soon as he lands. He hits him as soon as he lands. Manfred's done for. He's cooked. It's over. No Spirit Leech for him. Now we have heal-capped Crypt Horrors that are starting to demonic stability crumble. I mean, what am I saying? Undead crumble. Much less bad. And the Black Knights, the Blood Knights are teaming up on Astragoth, but he's a teeny tiny, heavily armored boy. He doesn't care about all these knights. As the capture one is ticking up, have they overgrouped in their rage to try and get rid of him after Manfred died? And yes, he is very low, but if he has another Flamestorm, you really don't want to be grouped up like that. Now, does he have another Flamestorm? We're 12 minutes into this game and he's been casting a lot of spells. I don't know. I don't know that information. Undercast one is only 13 winds of magic, but who knows how much he's spent at this point. But man, if he has a Flamestorm and you don't dodge it, you're about to lose this game. If he doesn't have a Flamestorm, you might just be fine, because Astragoth is getting decently low and his leadership is going to be one of the bigger problems. Lab, good for you, buddy. Good for you. Looks like people are talking in the chat about the tournament being fun. Boo. I got wrecked, lol. My multiplayer lobby wouldn't load in round 1, 2. I'm sorry, Dark Horse. Hope you had a good tournament overall. Sounds like you said fun tourney sills. That's fine. Jeremy, you are winning. That's good. What is Skaven romance like? The female Skaven mothers are just perpetually high, like smoking weed just in a back room. And then if any Skaven male does anything particularly impressive, he gets the right to go breed. So romance is a high lady that's constantly DTF. And you occasionally get to go say hello. It's not very romantic. Cadet Destroyer honestly got good value. Infernal Guards, Fireglaves did fine. Hobgoblin Archers also did fine. Caster Warriors held forever, and Astragoth got really good value. Value versus Vampire Counts is going to be inflated, though, because they keep healing, so you keep getting extra value. But still, very, very close game between these two. Zin Money got a little lazy at the end, not gonna lie. When I was fast-forwarding and he just dove Manfred in and stayed there for a little too long and got low. That was a little unfortunate, but he didn't get lazy enough to lose. And who said romance is dead? All right. Round 4 is about done. There's one game left in round 4, and then the tournament host will be generating semifinals and finals for me. All right, let's check. So I don't know if we've seen Dust Bunny yet, and I don't know if we've seen Vinter. Oh, and Vinter brought Gorok. All right, let's do it. More Norska. Zin Money tried some wacky builds this time. Fun, but debate how well I did. Dude, we just watched you win, so as far as this stream's concerned, you're undefeated, brother. Undefeated. I also liked your play a lot, Zin. I think it was pretty good. You had an early game mistake of parking Manfred in front of 2 Infernal Guards, and you took a lot of extra damage you didn't need to. Then you played great, and then at the end you got lazy after you thought you already won the game, and you lost Manfred for nearly free. But then you won with cycle charging. So I liked your play overall. Just one mistake and then one lazy play almost cost you. All right. For the Lizardmen of Vinter, we have 3 Chameleon Skinks, a Pistol Solar Engine, Gorok, Saurus Spears and Shields frontline with the Legion of Chakwa, and then Pakpak Cohort and 2 Cold Wind Spear Riders. Fine build overall, except for Gorok, who's generally considered to be pretty terrible. But if you like the meme, sure, go for it. I'm not trying to ruin your fun, just saying he's not generally considered very strong. And not having a caster is always a mistake. Again, for tryhard sweat A winning, if you're just vibing and having a good time, carry on, do what you want. But casters are always worth it. Winds of Magic is a thing you have whether you like it or not. It's just if you don't have a caster, you can't access it. So it's a resource you're just not tapping into. On the other side for Norska, we have some Marauder Horsemen and Horse Masters, Skin Wolves, Beasts of Tashnar and Ice Wolves, pretty normal stuff. Skinwolf Werekin, very popular hero selection today. Don't know what's bringing him out of the shadows. Marauder Frontline, and then a Shaman Sorcerer of Metal with Plague of Rust and Searing Doom. Wolfric the Wanderer with Sea Fang, Sword of Torgold, Hunter of Champions, and Fighter Die. So pretty kitted out Wolfric once again, though this one is on a horse, and then some more Skin Wolves and Ice Wolves. Gorok and his Saurus boys look like they're going to walk up to the point and dare anybody to push them off of it, which is usually their purview in life. Though I'm sure Sea Fang might have something to say about one of these Saurus warriors. Meanwhile, the Chameleon Skinks and the Heavy Cav just hanging out in the background, waiting for Norska to overextend. So Gorok's going to park his ass on the point, and he's pretty good at that. He has a lot of melee defense and melee defense stacking type abilities, so he can hold that point for quite a while. Norska doesn't seem too keen to take the fight with the Saurus just yet, but they will eventually do it. Norscan Marauders have to fight crazy alligators from the jungles of Lustria. But this is where Sea Fang is going to show up. Now that they're not in spread formation anymore, there goes half HP off some Saurus and a Searing Doom on them as well. Shield of Aeons and Stand Your Ground gives them 120 armor and 58 melee defense. Those are some tanky Saurus. So now this is exactly why the Lizardman Cav was kept in reserve. As soon as the Norskins try and flank the Saurus warriors, now these guys get activated and they're trying to pounce on them. Though the Skirmish Cav are trying to lead them away, and then the Skin Wolves and Norscan Ice Wolves can side charge. That's pretty brutal. But all the while, we are getting stat debuffed by the Bestowed on Solar Engine, occasionally hitting these guys and providing that blinded. So both sides getting some decent shots out. As Gorok duels Wolfric, and Wolfric runs away like a little pansy girl baby man. Cold Wind Spear Riders in the back line, going to get torn apart by various forms of dogs. Norscan Ice Wolves and Skin Wolves are the pairing that's been here since the dawn of time. They are some of the best mobility combatants when combined, and you can see the Cold Wind Spear Riders are having a terrible time. Cold Wind Spear Riders plus the Bastildon getting some nice routes onto some of these Skirmish Cav and dogs, forcing them back, which is pretty good. Chameleon Skinks also offering a bit of support, so things going okay on this left flank for the Lizardmen. Front line is a bit of a wash right now, as Norska is offering Sea Fangs and spells, while the Lizardmen are just offering raw stats to chew through those Marauders. Gorok continues to chase after Wolfric the Wanderer, and Wolfric keeps wanting to run away, now throwing Hunter of Champions onto Gorok, and then piling Skin Wolves and Norscan Ice Wolves on him. That's pretty brutal, because his melee defense is now down to 20, which sucks. But Gorok still somehow locking Wolfric in place and continuing to duel him, making the most of those stats. Another Searing Doom is going to land on a blob of Saurus. I do like watching satisfying spells hit blobs, so I would hang around for that. Chameleon Skinks being forced away by the Skinwolf Werekin as a giant pile of Skirmish Cav and dogs all clumped together around a Bastildon, and Legion of Chakwa is not going to go well for them. And the Lizardmen actually have a viable way of holding this ticket points, so the Norse is going to have to do something to get rid of all these Saurus, which is going to be annoying for them to do. Gorok is stuck, throws down Stand Your Ground. Now that he doesn't have Hunter of Champions and he has Stand Your Ground, he has 84 melee defense, so he will fight back against the dogs okay. He won't clear them very quickly, but they also won't kill him very quickly, so it's kind of a wash. Both these guys are just going to sit here into eternity, so we'll see what's happening with the rest of the battle. Chameleon Skink still kiting out the Skinwolf Werekin, did avoid his wrath, and now they've separated out a bit, so he's just running through the gauntlet. Meanwhile, other Skirmish Cav and Skinwolves rallying on the far side, getting their shit back together. As Wolfric has rejoined the fight, he has a second Sea Fang if he didn't use it while I wasn't looking. Yeah, he still has a Sea Fang. I expect to see it very soon, probably right here, and finish off these two. Maybe he'll throw it here, but this has more of a curve, so I'd rather see him just use it on this straight line and finish off those two Saurus warriors, but we'll see what he does with it. Another Plague of Rust is down onto Gorok, but his Shield of Aeons counters it for a while. Then he finally gets reduced armor. In come the Cold One Spear Riders. Balance power is slightly Norska favored, and I would agree, though just the sheer grinding potential of these swords has been very annoying for Norska. And the capture point is starting to matter. We're only 400 tickets from the end, so it's already 1/3 done, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I feel like it ticks up the first. I know it's math and nothing actually happens quicker, but I feel like the first 200 take forever, and then the last 400 kind of fly by in the blink of an eye. 4 skirmish cabs still running around, still have a lot of love left to give, but they are getting shot by chameleon skinks. They don't have a lot of amazing targets. Bastildon's 140 armor plus some missile resistance does make it very annoying. And Gorok is continuing to be a nuisance for Wulfric and these skin wolves and dogs. You remember like 800 million years ago when I mentioned that Gorok was sitting in those skin wolves and Norscan ice wolves, and I said it was a bit of a wash and both sides would be here into eternity? Yeah, eternity is still coming and Gorok's still here. Wulfric continues to fight with him and Gorok is currently making him pay for it. Getting consistent good hits onto Wulfric the Wanderer. Gorok just don't miss. Some of the skirmish cav have returned. Skirmish cav are going to do nothing to Gorok. Shield, high armor, and an incredibly low profile. They just can't hit him, but Norska's going to try. For Norska, nice, good damage on Legion of Chakwa with that final Sea Fang. But for Norska, what is going well is the Saurus have been ground out, usually through a combination of Marauder Horsemen and a ton of Searing Dooms. The Shaman Sorcerer's just been throwing out a ton of Searing Dooms on those guys. But anyway, without the Saurus, now you have a problem of not being able to hold the point. Gorok is nowhere near the point, so while he's not going to die wherever he is, he's also not here. So the victory location, Norska might stop that constant ticking. Lizardmen were halfway to a win, so losing that tick is going to be annoying. This thing was just about to get rid of some skirmish cav, now Skin Flerkins on top of it, and he's going to love this. High weapon strength with armor piercing and a significant bonus versus large. The Bastildon only has 28 melee defense. It's kept alive mostly by its armor and HP pool, not really by stats. The Skin of Flerkin is going to tear him limb from limb. Gorok continues to fight in the background, just slowly chipping away at Skin Wolves and these Norscan Ice Wolves who are routing for the second time. Bastildon comes over. It's going to give him... does he already have Perfect Vigor? How does this guy have all his Vigor? Oh, Rokavitsa occasionally. Okay. I was going to say that this is going to give him his Vigor back, which would be pretty huge for his melee stats. Legion of Chakwa and the other Sword Spear is going to beat up on the Skin Flerkin. And Norska did not manage to actually take the points. Lizardmen still getting some ticks here and there. A big old blob of Norscan units. Looks like they were chasing off some chameleon skinks or whatever, but they're definitely a little over-blobbed at this point. Gorok and Saurus going to try and hold. We have more Skin Wolves coming back in after chasing something off. Looks like they were just healing for a bit. They're going to dive onto the Solar Engine once more. Now they, unlike the Werekin, don't have primary armor piercing. So they'll get some damage out still, but not as much as the Werekin was. Wulfric is still alive, very tanky. Solar Engine was trying to just guard mode shoot him, but looks like he got distracted for now. Army losses is getting close to coming in for the Lizardmen. I suppose that's true. All of their units are right here in this circle I'm making with my mouse, and Norska has just a lot more units around, so I can see where the balance of power is deciding maybe to just call it. You do have a Skin Wolf Werekin healing up. You have other Skin Wolves healing up. So Norska's balance power is actually getting better as no one fights, because they have multiple regenerating units. Solar Engine gets a little poke onto Wulfric. Really not that much damage, though. It's more useful as a stat debuff. You can see that blinded is -24, both melee attack and melee defense. Brutal. Norska finally did take the point, so now the Lizardmen can't win by just lasting long enough. They have to actually do something about it. Bastildon still trying to shoot Wulfric, and it almost gets through all the trees, but hits the last one. And I have 2 pings on Discord. Why? I am confused by that question. Anyway, Bastildon's getting some shots on the Shaman Sorcerer of Metal. Legion of Chakwa and Gorok moving back towards the point. I think they realize their only real way... The only real way of winning for them is to take that point, as Gorok gets to duel Skin Wolf, which roars in his face and claws him in the chops. But Gorok swings back, and man, Gorok doesn't have that crazy of stats. 55-60 is good, but it's not insane. But I swear I've never seen him miss. When he swings, he hits. Norska looks like they're coming in for the final fight. Stand your ground popped. I just want to point out that army losses was not enough initially to take out Gorok, because he had high enough leadership that the 120 didn't get him down to -55. He was at like -51 for just a hot second, but it is over. What up, Trogdor? Did you buy any Skinwolf Werekin stocks? I like the Skinwolf Werekin. He's just usually too expensive to take because you can't have a generic Norska caster, which, like, dude, if Norska gets a generic caster lord in the next DLC, they're already going to jump out of, like, D tier and jump up to, like, C or B. Just having the option to go with a cheap caster lord and not waste your money is nice. Gerrit, you won a game versus your enemy router. Fair. Okay, we have semifinals to go do. I will join them in a second. Good job, Dust Bunny. So let's check and make sure. I just want to find people I haven't cast any of their games yet, because we will cast everybody at least once. Enda and Thagaraki. Thagaraki said this game was better, so I'll give him that one. Zin Money. I haven't cast any Seek Vault today. I haven't cast any Dark Horse today. We cast some Senfishy. We cast some Dust Bunny. Cast some Spotify. There's some Dark Horse. Okay, that's the same game. We cast some Milky Way. We cast some Winter. Scott and Sigfault. I have Sigfault later on. Yeah, I have Sigfault versus Zin Money. But hang on, everybody. Hang on. We cast 900 bojillion Zin Money games last time. We have not cast 900 billion Scott games, so I'll go with the Scott Sigvald one. And there's Enda versus Winterby. All right, so after the finals, we have 3 games left to cast just to make sure everybody gets 1 game on stream. Have you seen the Famir hero? No, I didn't personally watch that super long interview thing because that's just never been something I care about. Like, it's weird. I care about the hype, but whenever they do these really long interviews with the guys where it's like 26 minutes and stuff, and I don't want to yuck somebody's yum. If you enjoy that kind of hype, that is completely fine. That is completely fine. You do that. But me as a person, like, when they just talk about, like, oh, what did you want to capture for Norska? Well, we really wanted to capture the aspect of being Norska. Okay, what kind of things do you think players would enjoy? We think players would enjoy being Norska. And we want them to, like, live in the north and, like, enjoy snow. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck about any of this. Skip to the new units. And then, like, that's at the end. And then I skip forward. And again, I like, this could be for you. I am very impatient with, like, interviews. And, like, sometimes the interviews will be like, well, what do you think of this hero who's a giant mammoth monster? Well, we want him to be able to kill armored infantry. So what he does is he shakes his head and hits a lot of infantry at once. And he has a really high weapon strength. Wow, that's very insightful. I'm like, yeah, I can get it from seeing the unit. I can actually infer what the guy's going to say. So I don't tend to watch them because I start foaming at the mouth and getting really impatient. Which I am acknowledging is a me problem. I'm not trying to say they did a bad job or anything. I'm just not a person who enjoys interviews like that. Right? So I did not watch the second content piece. I watched the first one about T'Challa. And then I was like, whatever. I'll listen to him as a podcast when I'm at, like, work. But yesterday I had other stuff I was listening to, so I didn't get around to it. But I'm just, like, sit and watch. So I didn't see the Famir hero. I hear people talking about it. It seems cool. A melee Famir. It's good. It's solid. It's very good. I'm excited about the new caster lord. I'm excited about the generic caster lords that are for sure going to follow, because I've never seen a lord get released without a generic version. So if you have a caster, you're also going to get a generic caster. That's going to be hype. That's going to be hype. We love that. I have a Discord notification. Why? Okay. So we are in the semifinals. boys and girls. We have Sen Fishy and the Mata. Best of one. Winner will go to finals. Okay. All right. Okay. So these players are setting up. The Wood Elf Lizardman game was better. Sorry, Fireball Phoenix. Hey, man, we all get rusty. It's okay. Dark Horse round 2. Makes you feel like you're in Norska. The unicaps aren't on? Yeah, they don't have to be. Because some of the tournament things are different than unicaps. The unicaps aren't on, so I'm not pressing ready. Yeah. Mata, I believe, since the way you're typing, Malamorgan. Unicaps don't have to be on, because there's some mild differences from the tournament stuff. But it should be fine. If there's any build issues, we'll see them in the loading screen and we'll deal with it. There's certain things that unicaps allow that the tournament rules don't allow. There's certain things that the tournament's rules allow, but unicaps don't. I wonder what the Slongors will be. I feel like they'll either be redundant with Demonettes or Gorherds will be trash. Everyone I've talked to is hoping for Javelins. But I'm guessing they won't get that. Human Boy, love your multiplayer content. Thanks, Oblivion. I hate my multiplayer content. I only like my campaign content. Are there stuff Fruit Rules allows that unicaps don't? Yeah, I'm trying to think of what they are right now, Malamorgan, but nothing's coming to mind. There was, I know there's some specific stuff that Fruit Rules allows that like unicaps doesn't for some reason, because unicaps can be weirdly inconsistent. Sen Fishy, yeah, his build looks fine, Mallow. Nothing wrong here. Oblivion, here's the thing about my multiplayer content that I don't like. I'm in it. So I think it'd be a lot better if I wasn't here and there was someone else here. Like, I think this stream could be a lot more improved if you had someone come in. Here we go. All right. So here's me, right? Oh, we're in the semifinals with Sen Fishy and Mata playing Zinch and Demons of Chaos. Oh, see, like, problem, right? Lots of problem there. Garbage. I feel like it'd be a lot simpler if you had someone go like, hey, brother, I was watching Karate Kid the other day, brother, and he karate chopped that haggard, dreadlord, Kraken King duelist man, and I'm playing Age of Empires 3 or Warcraft 3 or Domination, brother. Yeah, see, look how much better that is. Look how much better that is. And I'm not referring to anybody specific. I'm not referring to any, I'm just saying generically, in a theoretical world, the second one was a little better than the first one. Because there's, I like units and specific description. And then there's, hey, brother, do you remember that movie, brother? Like, it's just, it's different. It's a little different. And both are fine. And both are fine. One's better. One's a little better. I kind of like the whiny guy now that I think about it. Yep. Okay. I am better than Turin. I think mathematically we came to the conclusion that I am better than Turin. All right. Cool. GG's. I like occasionally just mentioning Turin in an obscure way, so people are like not sure what to do about it, where they're like, does he like Turin? Does he not like Turin? Is he joking? Is he not joking? Do I have to get the pitchfork out and go kick this guy's ass, or is it all fine? I'm just gonna make you sit in that discomfort. I'm not gonna let you know. All right. You can get the voice of Devire. Thanks, Dominic Pierce. I'll start right now. I saw Legends tier list, brother. All right. Here we go. On to the game. First semifinal. We have Demons of Chaos, believe it or not, because this is pretty much a Khorne army with the blue scribes. But for the Demons of Chaos of Sen Fishy, we have 3 Chaos Fairies of Khorne, 4 Bloodletters, and then we have a Hero Hammer of a Herald of Khorne, Karanak, and the blue scribes with Khorne's Bloody Fist, the RR Bloodthirster up in the sky. The other side for Tzeentch, truly Tzeentch, Marauder Horseman of Tzeentch, Shrieking Skyrays, Knights of Immolation, an Exalted Hero of Tzeentch. With just meeting the mines, he actually did not bring that secret book of RNG. Then we have 2 blue horrors, 4 blue horrors, 2 pink horrors, the Severed Claw, and a Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Tzeentch with Tzeentch's Firestorm and Pink Fire of Tzeentch on a War Shrine. So he is just going to try and charge up. And with each enemy death, with each nearby entity death, so he's hoping all of his blue horrors will die right around him, and he can charge up and then sit on the Severed Claw in the late game. That's generally an okay strategy, but I would say Khorne specifically, well, it's Demons of Chaos, that's right. He took so many Khorne units, I'm treating him as Khorne. Bloodletters are pretty good at killing the Severed Claw, so I don't think he's going to be happy to see how many demonic Bloodletters are here. So we'll see what he does. In the meantime, Marauder Horseman of Tzeentch gonna kite back, and all of the Tzeentch units have magic damage, so they're a decent counter to Demons of Chaos in general. Shrieking Skyrays and the Knights of Immolation trying to fall back. Blue Scribes just charging up what Winds of Magic they can for their random spells. We'll hope they get some good ones. Patrick Walker, how do I join these tourneys? There's a Discord linked under every stream and video. Join that, and then we have a tournaments tab. And Big JP posts this one every Friday, I believe, and then he posts a reminder every Saturday. What spell is this coming from Blue Scribes? I actually have no idea. It is apparently Slicing Shards. Gotcha. Anyway, yeah, Big JP hosts this every Saturday. He posts it Friday and posts a reminder every Saturday. So just join our Discord, keep an eye on that tournaments tab, and you'll be just fine. Knights of Immolation get terror-outed away. They did some decent work holding back, though I would have liked this air engagement to take place within range of the blue and pink horrors so that they could offer supporting fire, because the Knights of Immolation kind of just held those Furies in place for nothing, which was a bit of a problem. Tormentor's Sword looks like it netted these guys for a little bit, because the Herald has that now, right? Yeah, so he netted these guys for a little bit, and now they're just getting rear charged. Meanwhile, an Earthblood is out onto all the flying units. Blue Scribes offering a little bit of support there. And Tzeentch is just using their flying, losing their flying and skirmish units for free. They really need to back this up, because this fight could be taking place in front of your ranged units, right? So there's no reason the fight had to take place out here. I understand you not wanting the fight to take place here and disrupt all your ranged units. I get that, but it also doesn't need to happen here. There's a middle ground where the perfect spot would be right there. Tzeentch's flying units are all disabled. They lost one of their skirmish cav. So far, Tzeentch not enjoying this early game. The only potential positive is they have just been sitting here charging Winds of Magic. The Blue Scribes have also been using their Winds of Magic, but when they enter the fight, they will have Tzeentch's Firestorms ready. They will have Pink Fires ready to take out some of those Bloodletters. Ooh, and Sen Fishy took the point. I didn't really realize the point was over there. So, yeah. Tzeentch has got to move up. Been a little too slow about that. I hope Bretonnia gets some new units. Same, dude. Same. I get some hope because other DLC factions got DLCs by now. Beastmen, Wood Elves, stuff like that. Because I think the Vampire Coast, the Tomb Kings, and Bretonnia all could use a couple more units. And I know people are like, Bretonnia's done, though, on tabletop. They didn't have much more. If I remember correctly, the Vampire Coast didn't even exist on tabletop, so we can take some creative license here. Come on. Hey, boy, you should totally cast that replay I sent you. It's the totally type of content you normally cast. Yeah, Cash. I'll consider it, because he sent me a domination replay for context. I'm in the middle of a conquest tournament, so when he sent me something, I was like, is this from this tournament? He's like, no, it was from a different thing at a different time, and I sent him a gif of like, fuck this shit. I'm busy. Exalted Hero of Tzeentch, wandering out, gets Prey of the Blood God netted right in front of Khorne's Bloody Fist, so he's going to have a terrible time. And Tzeentch is starting to move up now, but I feel like Tzeentch has been playing this a little too passively and just kind of feeding things into the grinder of the Demons of Chaos one after the other. So a couple of mistakes here. Tzeentch not fully leveraging all their ranged power. And Cathay as well. Cathay got a DLC from the Shadows of Change, right? Oh, you're right. Okay, you're saying Cathay didn't exist at all. They made it up. Yeah. I understand you. All right. So here we go. Now you're going to start to see some of the real damage from this build. Damage I wanted to see while that air fight was going on, but already these Bloodletters in the initial soiree lost half their HP. Chaos Furies took a little extra damage. Now they have to dive in. But the problem with this is pink and blue horrors are all hybrid units. They can fight back decently against Chaos Furies. They'll still take a lot of damage, but they can fight back enough to get these guys to start crumbling away. As a Blade Wind comes out, the Dark Elf spell from the blue scribes. But there we go. We lost some Furies. Other Furies are thinking about leaving as well. Bloodletters are going to cleave through the blue horrors, but I want to see how quickly this guy's charging. Yeah, he is charging insanely fast on top of all these demonic units dying. He's already up to 50% charge. Chaos Spawn Summon is already out from the Sorcerer Lord of Tzeentch. Now that will fade away pretty fast. Tzeentch is down about 3,000 damage value. Definitely don't disagree considering all the damage we saw earlier. But the Bloodletters are getting nice and low. The Furies are getting nice and low. So things are quickly going to get down to just single entities. And then maybe if you can focus fire on the single entities by spreading out your range units, you can pick them off. Especially the blue scribes are crazy squishy. Karanak's very squishy against this type of fire. The main problem is going to be what you're seeing here. There's not a lot of mass in this Tzeentch build. So Khorne's Bloody Fist can pretty much just follow the Sorcerer Lord wherever he goes. There's nothing to truly stop him from getting onto that target he wants, as he just gets shot after shot onto the Sorcerer Lord. More demonic instability crumbling, now taking out some blue horrors. For Khorne Demons of Chaos, we have one healthy Bloodletter and two almost dead ones, as the blue scribes get a quick little Shem's Burning Gaze. But honestly, that Shem's Burning Gaze looked like it was targeting the Bloodletters. I don't know what it was shooting at, but it didn't hit anything besides Bloodletter. Between Khorne's Bloody Fist and the Herald and Karanak, it's been a really hard time for this Chaos Sorcerer Lord to get anywhere. Once again, Prey of the Blood God surrounds him, and oh yeah, Karanak silences him. So while Karanak's nearby, he can't cast any of his spells. All that built-up Winds of Magic goes nowhere, and he is going to rout now. And that is probably GG as the Gaze of Mork hits the Aspiring Champions, but it's just too much. We're losing more blue horrors and pink horrors. We're losing our skirmish cav. The Lord is dead and or silenced. So now it's like, do you think the Severed Claw can kill literally everybody? I don't, and Senfishy will go to finals with a weird Khorne build. Khorne Chaos Legions Demons. I think it was a creative build. I think it was a neat build. I think the problem was just taking the fight outside of the range of his troops, and that just kind of compounded into a loss for Mata. It's like he didn't make a lot of mistakes. He had one mistake that cost him a lot, kind of thing. On the other side, for Senfishy, I mean, he played fine. He had a silly build, but it ended up working out. I think it all worked together pretty well, except for the blue scribes is a little off the wall. But sure, Karanak's good against Tzeentch because you can silence their caster and you know they're going to have an important caster lord. Bloodletters were solid at cleaving through the Severed Claw if you needed to in the late game. Furies were managed well. GG's. Demons of Chaos had 2 roots? That's true, they had 2 roots. I think targeted roots are different. I gotta go catch the other semifinal. You can contact a tournament admin if you need to, but I think only one of the roots is targeted. The other one's just AoE. Yeah, it's fine, I believe. So then we have Wes and Goodgits. Wes and Goodgits, do you guys have a lobby or what? What's your PC specs, sir? I don't know. Dude, I don't know. It is named semifinals. Well, I just messaged you, so maybe you should think about that. RTK Conquest semifinals. Yeah, we're here. So this is the other semifinal. We have Nurgle versus Lizardmen. Who will go face the Demons of Chaos in finals? They should get started pretty soon. They had that entire game to build their builds, so I think they're just waiting to realize that I've entered the lobby, and then we'll get going. I think some people studied that Tourney might get dismounted knight units. That'd be hype. I'm down for that. Kugat Plaguefighter versus Slan Mage Priest of Fire. I need a beverage that I don't have with me. What the hell? I'll be back when I feel like it. And my PC specs? I don't know, man. I forget how to check that information offhand. I just bought, like, I bought a pre-built from a computer shop that had everything. Like, it was just rocking. I know that's a dissatisfying answer. I don't know a lot about PC hardware. I'm more of a software guy. Where it's like, I can usually figure out what's going on with computer, can debug the things, but if anybody's like, oh man, did you build your PC? Hell no. Turin would know his PC specs. Well, if you like Turin so much, why don't you just go watch Turin? Why are you even here? Get out. I don't want to talk to you anymore. How dare you? All right, let's do this. Good Gits versus Thagaraki. Task Manager can tell you the GPU and CPU. Fine. Services, performance. AMD Ryzen 7 580X 8-core processor for the CPU. GPU is a RTX 3080. You happy? What the? I didn't do that. What happened? It said he dropped. Why'd you drop him? These terms are so much more fun when Human Boy's casting them. That's because I'm fun, brother. That's because I'm the GOAT. I am the greatest, actually. Here's the thing. If I was a chump-ass bitch, which I'm not, I would probably lose Deathmaster Snitch in my campaign stream. But I didn't, so therefore, I'm the greatest. I'm so sad I lost him. Dude, if you guys didn't see last night's stream, sorry for the spoilers. At one point I lose Deathmaster Snitch just because I played like a complete jackass. Like, I was so... I was doing so well overall that I kind of got lazy, and then in a battle I realized I was getting lazy, and we had to fight in desperation, and I should have just surrendered. So, like, first I get lazy and put Snitch in a bad situation, and then I could have just FF'd and ran away, and I would have been completely fine. But then I tried to salvage a bad fight, and lost Snitch. And it's like, wow, that you could not have made any worse decisions. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Fuck. Good gets game crashed or something. Yeah. Now I'm just filling time till he comes back, which is allowed. Is he the GOAT Ungor boy? Wow, okay. Gerrit, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you. Also, I love how I'm not even a gore. I'm a fucking Ungor. I can't even get a gore status. Damn, dude. That's messed up. All right, we lost Wesley Bravo. Good gets crashed. That's been established. I don't know what the plan is. If he crashes again, I will... Oh, they're both restarting. Okay, whatever. If it crashes again, I'll go cast some of those replays we still had from people that... Sorry, I got distracted by something in chat. Anyway, if they crash again while I'm there, I'll have them try and play it without me. I still have some replays to catch so that we cast everybody at least once. We still have these 3 replays to do at some point. So we'll do that if he crashes again, but for now I'm just going to wait and see if they get a lobby up. RTK CQ semifinals, that looks like it, but it doesn't have a spec slot yet. Amelva, so many bad decisions. Yeah, I got lazy. I got lazy for sure. Compete Ungor with a bow, then you're one of the best units. Dust Bunny Armada, I typed to you that I was hyped as hell to see you, and you didn't respond, and that hurt my feelings. I saw you were typing, and I was like, Dust Bunny! And you just fucking ghosted me, brother. That's the... You can't do that. Well, you can, but it's mean. But no. Yeah, that's just how I play campaign. And it's kind of funny when I make campaign content because like I played a campaign stream with Radiant Ash and I ended up winning Snitch versus Gelt. And the funny thing was, Ash would kick my ass all over the campaign map where people would be like, you know, oh, you should do this ambush and then inch 2 inches forward and then spin around 3 times. And then if you dismount your hero and then mount your hero, you'll get this advantage or that. And I'm like, bro, I don't know what you're talking about. And people are just dogging me in my chat like, oh, you're doing this wrong and this wrong in your campaign. And I'm like, yeah, probably. But whenever Ash and I would fight, we'd load into battles and I would win the battles. And I was like, listen, I don't know. I don't know about all this campaign bullshit you guys are spewing, but I win the battles. Also, Wes, that is a different Nurgle build. So, yeah, anyway, to finish up the campaign thought, I definitely play campaign a little more casually. I don't like to do much stuff that, like, games the system. It's just not the type of player I've ever been. But, yeah. I do most of my sweaty tryharding in, like, multiplayer. It is what it is. Wes, you changed your build, bruh. Sorry, I'm busy yelling at Wes. Busy shrieking at him. Not like Legend? Yeah, not like Legend. Legend's a good dude. And I don't want to disparage him at all. It's just everybody has their preferences. I don't really like playing the game how Legend does. I don't tend to like getting advantages through that kind of thing. I tend to try and pseudo role play a little bit. Like I generally don't position myself in corners of the map. I like to play as if the edge of the map doesn't exist personally. Like I'd set up my army how I would if I was actually playing. And I'm not trying to like high road anybody. It's just generally what I find fun. And some people really like to dig into the mechanics and min-max or like think about their turns. And I kind of just like to fly by the seat of my pants and just like, yeah, do this and do that. Woo, whatever. Oh, made a mistake. Cool. Move on. Like I do that playing board games too. My friends and I, when we play board games, we have this one guy who almost always wins. And I love him. His name's Josh. But his turns usually take forever because he's busy looking at all of his cards and thinking about all of his combos and what he could possibly do to like win this game. And I'm much more of like, this seems like a good idea, and I'll roll with it, see what happens. But different folks. You do whatever you want to do. So for the second build of Nurgle, we'll see if he wins. This might be a bit of a problem because he switched builds in between, so now he knows what his opponent was bringing. He switched his build. I was messaging him, and he's like, should I have kept the build? And I'm like, yeah, but it sounds like they're going to play it out anyway. If the Lizards win, then it's not a problem. If he wins, we'll deal with it. We have 2 Rotting Riders, a Chaos Knight of Nurgle, 2 Bile Trolls, and a Chaos Sorcerer of Nurgle with Fleshy Abundance and Curse of the Leper, it looks like. On the other side for the Lizardmen, we have Saurus Warriors, Star Chamber Guardians, Saurus Spears, some Chameleon Skinks, Skink Courts, Javelins, then we have Salamander Hunting Packs, an Ancient Salamander, a Bastiladon, and a Fire Slan. This boy likes fire. Isn't it cheating changing the build after you know what your enemy picked? Yeah, we'll deal with it if Nurgle even wins, but he didn't know he was supposed to keep his build, so he switched his build because he was worried his opponent might counter him, right? He thought it was like allowed, so he tried to factor that in. No one's acting maliciously here. There was just some miscommunication. We'll deal with it if we have to deal with it. Saurus Warriors holding the front line, the Fire Slan throwing Burning Head down the Pestigors. Meanwhile, the Star Chamber Guardians are holding that front line nicely with the Slan Mage Priest next to them. Rotting Riders taking a lot of damage, and Good Gits is up on the balance of power right now. Is ahead about 1,000 damage value. Now this is where it's going to get a little spooky, is a lot of that money is in these Salamanders that are easy to kill off if you get onto them in melee. So we'll see how long the Lizardman frontline can hold. The Saurus Warriors, which have been the theme of the day, a lot of Saurus today from different Lizardman players, but the Saurus Warriors are hold forever. It's the flanks I'm worried about. Those Cold One Spear Riders or whatever are gone now. Pestigors flying into the back line, and now we have Bile Trolls onto the Salamander Hunting Pack, so they're poisoned and they're getting that weird Beastmen debuff, so they've lost 90% of their speed. They're down to 7 speed as the Salamander's just getting ground down. Meanwhile, Rot Knights full HP. I believe they got a Fleshy Abundance because I know they were taking damage earlier, but Rot Knights are now also charging into the back line, but the Salamander's going to run through the winning front line, try and get to safety, so he's switching whose back line is whose. Chaos Knight's also very healthy getting into the backfield, but Nurgle has not had everything go their way. Their front line has taken a lot of damage. The Rotting Riders took a ton as well. So it is going to be heavily on these 2 healthy heavy cav and their Lord to win the late game. Rotting Riders have enough HP to take out the Ancient Salamander, along with, of course, the Chaos Sorcerer Lord. So that is going to be a dead Salamander, unfortunately, for the Lizardmen. For the Lizardmen, they still have a Bastiladon who's very healthy, Slan's very healthy, and then they have the Star Chamber Guardians and other Saurus. So it'll be about whether or not Nurgle can grind through all of them. Nice Blood Statue despite the Chaos Knights of Nurgle, getting good damage down onto them. I do want to see more focused fire onto the Rot Knights. If they truly did get a Fleshy Abundance, we know their healing cap is nearby, and you need to start picking them off. Spreading out your damage just means Nurgle can also spread out their healing. No Norsk in the top 4 is a crime. It is a bit of a crime. It looks like we're crashing as the game stalls out to a halt. I saw little blips of lag, but not too much. But then when it completely stalls, yeah, Good gets dropped. Okay. All right. So now that the same player is dropped twice, sometimes, I'm not trying to speak for any tournament admin. I know in my tournaments, if the same player drops twice, we just rule it a loss and move on, just because it's like, well, the game has to proceed somehow. So we'll see what the tournament admins want to do. It's clear that we're having some connection issues here, so I'm going to take myself out so we don't have 3 people constantly mucking up these lobbies. And I'll see what they want to do about finals. But I'm going to message tournament admin and say, hey, I'm going to cast some replays that I got waiting. And then I'm going to go cast replays. If it isn't already recognized, I'm going to call that an L for me. All right, it looks like Good Gets is actually just throwing in the towel after losing, not losing, after disconnecting twice. He was in a bit of a bad situation, I will say, with the Ancient Salamander getting cut down and then his basic Salamander separated off from the main group. He had a Solar Engine, he had a bunch of Halberds versus Heavy Cav. That's true, but Cycle Charging is a hell of a drug. I don't think the game was decided, but I think he was slightly disfavored. So if he throws in the towel, it's not like he was about to win and then he ends up losing. In defense, Nurgle to do the army swap, yeah. I'll see what the tournament admin wants to do. I'm gonna cast a replay while finals/rule thing gets dealt with. Ping me when final is ready. I'm gonna message Prime so that Prime is assigned to do it. At least he's being nice about it. Yeah. No, Wes was talking to me about it. So Wes didn't, like, is it against the rules to switch your build? Yes. Like, it is. But we have End of the Lion versus Thagaraki. Anyway, like, is that not allowed by the rules? Yeah, but I was messaging him and he thought both players could switch. So he didn't want to take the same build because his opponent could make a build that could directly counter his Kugath one. So he was under the assumption that they could both change, and he didn't want to do the same one and get caught. And then I informed him you normally take the same build, and he said, oh, my bad, and they were playing it out. And then it's like, well, you know, I could stop the game and, like, force them to replay it no matter what, or they could play it out and see if it mattered. Because if the Lizardmen won, then who cares if he switched his build, right? So, yeah. But anyway. Uh-oh. Where are you going? You going to Costco? Woo! Have fun. Grace is leaving. So yeah, that's why there's that. But yeah, if there hadn't been the drop and Nurgle had won, like, we would have discussed it. But it looks like Good Gets is dropping just due to his lag issues. So it's kind of working itself out. Anyway, for this other replay we were going to cast here, we have End of the Lion, I believe, on Wood Elves with some Dryads and Waywatcher Kite. Durthu as a centerpiece, and then Glade Riders and Glade Rider Starfire Shafts. Chaos Warhounds fighting against the Glade Riders, and then some Wild Riders. On the other side, for Nurgle, we saw this player in the semifinals, but this is Thagaraki. We have Curse the Leper and Miasma of Pestilence for his Caster Lord. Nurgling Frontline, Rotting Riders, ROR, and then Chaos Furies of Nurgle and Chaos Knights of Nurgle are on the flanks with a bunch of dogs as well. Wood Elves getting good first engagement on some Chaos Furies. They lose a Glade Rider with Spears, but something to remember that feels weird is the Glade Riders are 100 gold cheaper than these Chaos Furies and Nurgle, so trading one Chaos Fury for a Glade Rider is actually a huge win for the Wood Elves. Again, that might be a little weird to think about, because you kind of think of these small little bats as being cheap, but Chaos Furies are not cheap, and that's why when I see people throw them to their death, that didn't happen this game, but I have seen people throw them to their death. It's like, no, that unit isn't something you just fire and forget. Like, it costs almost 2 Nurglings. Anyway. Glade Guard Starfire Shafts getting eaten alive by dogs. Waywatchers trying to escape, but this is a big catch for Nurgle. Nurglings and dogs nearby to take out these Waywatchers is pretty huge. The Wood Elves are trying to bail out these units, but they're getting separated because the Nurgle build is super wide, so for everything they block, there's 2 things they don't block. Rotting Riders taking a ton of damage against Durthu and the Wild Riders. This could be huge. If they rout, which they're actually very close to routing, if they rout, they'll lose that 15% damage resistance when they get Blessing of the Fly Lord. They lose it if they ever rout. But they managed to hang on for now. Dog's going to get routed off the back side. Wood Elves are ahead on the balance of power as these Chaos Knights break around the rocks to try and catch more Glade Guard Starfire Shafts, but that is going to be a big problem. That is going to be a problem. Losing your Glade Guard, losing your Waywatchers, that's a lot of damage potential for the Wood Elves out, and the Wood Elves don't generally win by melee grinding people down. One Waywatcher still free and clear, and it is firing. It's firing into the backs of these Chaos Knights, which mitigates that bronze shield, and their armor is useless against the Waywatchers. They have almost entirely armor-piercing missile damage. 2/3, but still. So they're going to get a lot of damage out. Wild Riders are trying to fight back against these guys, but they don't do that much damage, honestly. Wild Riders in general don't, unless the Wild Hunters of Kurnos, and especially not versus the heavily armored Knights charging them in the back. So a similar situation, honestly, in the Lizardmen game we just left in the semifinals with Nurgle versus them is that we're getting into a late game situation of heavy cav and a lord versus disparate infantry, and then a big single entity. Last time it was a Slann and a Solar Engine, and now it's Durthu. Durthu's a significantly better melee combatant, but the problem is going to be the same. Wood Elves falling a little behind in the balance of power from their big lead as they start to lose a bunch of their ranged units. Chaos Knights pushing off Wild Riders. Way Watchers grouping up near Durthu. Durthu's going to defend them. As the Rotting Riders from a distance have some animations that kind of look like frogs. Look at them hopping as I'm in the distance. Because it's their capes. Their capes going up and down look weird. And then when you zoom in, it's more smoothed out. Durthu, the Wild Riders, and Way Watchers all getting shots in on the Rotting Riders. Surely they'll rout this time and lose their damage resistance. Surely! 23 leadership, they might be fine. They're down to 8 as they start to retreat, though. Way Watchers are firing up over the top. Do you rout? Nah, they're going to be just fine. All right. Glade Riders and Dryads trying to return from the far side. We still have one Way Watcher that is going to try and defend itself with one final volley that it fired very vertical for some reason. A little bit too much flourish on that, guys. You might just want to fire straight forward. Yeah, like that. In the future. With Wild Riders behind them and Way Watchers in front of them, these Knights should rout pretty soon. They shouldn't get that much damage out on the Way Watchers as Durthu tries to lumber back into position. Balance of power is still 50-50 this late into the game. And something is happening here. Curse of the Slug trying to slow them down. But this isn't going to be it. This is actually going to be really bad, I think, for these Chaos Knights. Wild Riders get slowed by the Curse of the Slug, but they're doing their jobs. They're standing between the Chaos Knights and the Way Watchers. So the Way Watchers retreat. They're going to get shots off while Spears, Durthu, and everybody just filter into these Chaos Knights. But the Curse of the Slug keeps spreading and stops Durthu from actually arriving. Meanwhile, the Rotting Riders in the distance are just trying to heal up and stay safe. We have the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Nurgle coming back. And we are losing both of the remaining Nurglings. The Frolic Demonic barely hang on right now. They had 0 leadership. I saw that demonic instability tick for just a second. Leadership came back. Somehow they're staying in it. As last, the dogs are going to charge toward the Way Watchers. Charging bonus should keep them in it. Even though Dorothy's trying to Flock of Doom, then they should be able to still finish the charge. And the Way Watchers are so low, they'll still take a decent chunk. More dogs are routing, terror routing away. Durthu peels. I'm starting to get a little concerned for Nurgle. Because the problem is going to be in the late game, you still have to kill Durthu, who still has a Sword of Daith, which does a lot of damage to Heavy Cav. And Heavy Cav does not like sitting and grinding with Nurgle, especially when your Rotting Riders are already damaged. Because like the Chaos Knights are pretty healthy, but they don't have anti-large, armor piercing, any of that, so Durthu's actually a real menace. What is they're slowly taking up on the damage point? And I'll be honest, when I loaded into this game, I thought since Thagaraki, the Nurgle player, was in the semifinals, I just kind of assumed he won, and I kept that under my hat to not spoil anything. But you can get into the semifinals without a perfect 4-0, and now I'm getting very concerned he can't win, so I'm like, wait. Sword of Daith and Flock of Doom onto the Rotting Riders as they were charging in. They run out of the Sword of Daith circle, and they get to safety, but there's only 3 seconds left of ticks, so it's got most of his damage out. Chaos Knight's still coming back in. Eternal Guard gonna fight against Chaos Sorcerer Lord. Rotting Riders and Chaos Knights of Nurgle still fighting against those Dryads as Durthu walks over to the point. The Wood Elves currently have the point, so Durthu's trying to just puppy guard it and be like, no. You're gonna take this. You're gonna sit here and fight me while I take it. Chaos Sorcerer Lord and dogs trying to finish off these Way Watchers and Eternal Guards. Just get rid of what they can while the Dryads are getting damaged out. Everybody's avoiding Durthu. Durthu might literally be full health. Okay, he has lost 299 HP out of 10,000. Eternal Guard dying off. -1 leadership. There they go. Way Watchers soon to follow behind. But again, Durthu is just standing on the point, getting some Dryads to come help him get some capture weight. Because he just needs to force these Heavy Cav to come fight Durthu. And now I'm getting super worried about Nurgle. I honestly don't think they have left anything to kill Durthu. Because the Chaos Sorcerer Lord gets okay damage, but he has only 4,800 HP to Durthu's 9,000. After that, you have some not great single entity combatants in the Chaos Knights and the Rotting Riders. And they're just going to get Flock of Doomed over and over again. What up, Will? Wes played this very well. I blundered a few of my units and he has punished his wrong point. Enda says. End. End. Dryads are routing, so Dorothy is now all alone. Throws down an overcast Flock of Doom that does extra damage as the Rotting Riders get out of some of the damage. These guys do not, though. And they're all now getting very low. The no units are super low. This guy's been healing for a while, but he's also close to his heal cap. The Frolickers Bubonics somehow hung on. I'm kind of shocked they're still alive. At one point, they were demonic instability crumbling, but not anymore. Waywatchers came back off screen, and they died barely on screen. Durthu gets Miasma of Pestilence, down to 36 melee attack, but kind of like Gorok earlier, I feel like Durthu's stats are a little... deceptive. Something about his attack animations are so good that I feel like no matter what his melee attack is, he just hits. The boy don't miss. And still, Durthu, like, look how long he's been getting cycle charge and stuff. He went from 9,000 health to 8,800 health. Like, when I said I was super worried there's nothing here to kill him, this is what I was talking about. Flock of Doom over top of Fecundity. Fecundity heals very nice. Very good job from Nurgle. Did capture the point, but Durthu's going to make sure that they have to keep pressuring him on it. Flock of Doom Overcast, though, with the Fecundity going, they kind of cancel out a little bit. You can see the health bars didn't really move. That's a big problem for the Rotting Riders who are almost heal capped. And the Chaos Knights of Nurgle can't get infinite healing. It's not like you have infinite Fecundities waiting around. There's no fleshy abundance either. So we'll see. Frolickers are also nearly heal capped. So Nurgle's used a lot of healing, and I don't know where the Chaos Sorcerer Lord's healing's at. He has the Crown of Domination, so he can heal himself to heal capped for free. But it depends. If he's already been healing this whole game, he might be just around the corner. Waywatchers are back. 3 leaderships, 7 models. Wow, that range is impressive. Look how far they can shoot. That's pretty crazy. Durthu is taking a lot of damage now, as the Chaos Sorcerer Lord appears to just be kicking his ass. No, he's not getting that much damage out. Must be the Rotting Riders. Yeah, Rotting Riders are still getting good damage. Damn. Durthu attempts to fight back. If he has 3 or 4 more Flock of Dooms in his back pocket, he'll be just fine. But if he's out of Winds of Magic and he has to truly melee grind this, then he's in significant trouble. Durthu goes down to 3 leadership for just a second, then back up to 31, so he's doing okay as he swings back against the Rotting Riders. Looks like they're heal capped, but army losses is gonna take him? Nah, dude. Army losses, screw you. All right. Looks like finals are going to be underway. Thagaraki, the Nurgle player, will take the win because he was discussing with the tournament admin about the build switching thing. But Goodgets, the Lizardmen player, popped in and just said, hey, my computer's having issues and I'm lagging out, so I'm surrendering for that reason. Not really about the whole build switching thing. Because, like, just so everyone knows what's going on, because I know some people hopped in to defend Goodgets in the Discord, so I just want to say this out loud. If Nurgle had won with the changed build versus the Lizardmen, that win would not have stood. They would have had to replay it because changing your build is illegal. Wes seemed fine with that. He seemed like he wasn't angry about it at all. But the problem is the Nurgle player dropped for the second time due to lag, and the Nurgle player, not the tournament admin, said, I'm dropping a lot, just take the win. So the Nurgle player, the Lizardman player conceded because his computer was having issues. None of this went to an admin about the build thing. If he won with the changed build, it would not have stood. But that's not why he's advancing. He's advancing because the other player surrendered due to PC issues. Right? Just so everybody's clear. Because I see some people hopping in the Discord and trying to, like, bring it up and stuff. And it's like, yeah, no, you're completely right that you can't change your build and take the win. For sure. But that's not what's happening. So we will be getting to finals. Prime has sent me a code, so we should be joining that. So this is finals, and then we have 2 more replays to cast to make sure everybody gets at least 1 game on stream before we end for the day. So there's 3 games left. We'll be getting into finals here. This is the big one. Who wins the whole tournament? Nurgle or Prime's Demons of Chaos? I do find it funny that the Demons of Chaos had to fight Tzeentch, so a mono god, and then in finals they get to fight Nurgle, another mono god. I feel like I'll be the eternal new player, but one of these days I'm going to take Norska to the finals. Dust Bunny, I remember a finals you were in. It was Kislev versus someone, but it was early on. Like, honestly, I think it might have been last year we had a Dust Bunny finals, and I remember the Kislev game was super hype, but I don't remember who you were fighting. I just remember it was a good one, and you were in it. As for being a perpetual new player, that's fine. It's fine, dude. New player attorneys are chill. I think they're fun. The thing, here's what I want from the new player tourneys that hasn't happened, and it bums me out. It happens a bit, but not as much as I'd like. So in my Discord, now JP hosts this on the RTK Discord, which is also great. It's also great. But if I could put in a little pitch for what I want to happen, we haven't been able to get going. In my Discord, you can get the Give Radogre role, and it gives you our new player role, where we used to host new player tournaments, and then JP started doing them in the RTK server, which is also a good server, not complaining. But like, my point of getting the new player tournaments was to make connections with people, so you find other people who are brand new. So you don't just keep queuing into find matches and you run into like Pigman 202, who's one of the better players in the entire world. Sipa is on here, one of the better players in the entire world. So like, you play some of the best players, you get your ass handed to, and you're like, wow, this game sucks. And it's like, no, you just need to find new players. So we create this area where only new players can chat to each other and hopefully make connections, and then like meet up, play some games. Like, hey, Wes is in here, right? We love that. Grimbat. Prime is in here. Prime is Sen Fishy. So some of the players in this tournament are hanging out in this area. We have the best one practice bit. But I'd like for these new player tournaments to be places where you can find other people where it's like, all right, you're learning the game, I'm learning the game. Let's play each other some. Even not just in a tournament, but like meet up for some games or something and play things where you don't get the shit kicked out of us. Because that's the biggest barrier to multiplayer, is if you run into like the best players right away and you just get your ass handed to you, you don't have fun and then you quit, and that sucks. But I'm like, man, if you could just play some new players. Because that's how I got in. There was a streamer on Twitch, My Son HW, which he's not my son. His whole name was My Son HW. And he hosted a weekly new player tournament, which I just stole from him. I've never pretended I didn't. He stopped doing it, so I started doing it. But he had a weekly new player tournament. And that's how I got into multiplayer, was playing in that. And then I took some friends from that. And even after I won one and got kicked out, because obviously after you win, you're not a new player anymore. I just kept playing with those guys, and it made the game fun. And then I had enough fun that I was ready to take on the more experienced players to get my ass kicked, but now I liked the game enough to withstand getting my ass kicked. But I don't know. If I just joined and got my ass handed to me every tournament I played, I probably wouldn't have stuck with it. The first two Turin tournaments I joined, I got Zyphos round 1 both times and instantly got knocked out. I was so bummed. Zyphos just playing as wood elves, murdering my dumbass. Folks don't usually stick around. Most of the folks who are in the tournaments when I started don't see anymore. Yeah, Fireball Phoenix, it's true. We don't have a great retention rate. People kind of come and go, which is like, it's fine. No one's saying you shouldn't be able to come and go. Like, no, you have to play this game forever. You have to. It's just, you know, it's just a bummer to see people that you like and you're like, oh, this person's cool, and they kind of disappear. Dark Horse. JP hosts these tournaments. He's a legend. I used to host them weekly, but then I felt like I was getting too limited in my content, where it's like hosting a weekly new player tournament is a lot to commit to. Because sometimes I only have enough time for one stream in a week, and it's like, okay, if all my content is just new player stuff, it's like people want to see veteran players, people want to see campaigns, people want to see creative stuff that I do, people want to see me play. They don't get anything if all I do is new player tournaments. So then JP took over hosting the new player tournaments every week, and I just cast I cast every other week, so I don't always have to commit maybe my only stream slot of the week to the new player tournaments, but they still go on. These happen, whether or not you see me streaming, these happen every Saturday. So if you ever want to hop in on the new player stuff, and he has new player domination too. He has new player domination, new player conquest, advanced player domination, advanced player conquest. So even if you watch the turn streams, you're like, man, I'm more into domination than conquest. He's got new player tournaments for you too, every Saturday at this time. Feel free to hop in. He does a good job. We love JP. But for the finals, this is it. Whoever wins this game wins the whole tournament. On one side, Prime, also known as Sen Fishy. On the Demons of Chaos, we have Svarak the Feathered Prince with Tzeentch's Firestorm, Blue Fire, and Gaze of Fate. We have Khorne's Bloody Fist, a Burning Chariot of Tzeentch, some Chaos Furies of Khorne, and then a Nurgling frontline with Fiends of Slaanesh. The other side for Nurgle, we have 2 Chaos Furies of Nurgle, a Plague Bearer frontline, backed up by Bile Trolls. Ooh, I like that a lot versus Demons of Chaos. Their constant application of -8 leadership is going to be brutal versus demonic instability stuff. We have some Chaos Warhounds, the Rotting Riders, and then a Sorcerer of Nurgle hero with Rancid Visitations, and then a Chaos Lord of Nurgle with his buffs. Rancid Visitations has some tough choices to make. You can either Rancid and kill the Burning Chariot of Tzeentch pretty quickly with 1 or 2 overcasts, or you can start focusing down Svarak, who doesn't have a good source of healing. Either or is fine. Dogs jumping onto the Nurgling backline as the Frolickers Demonic hold their ground, and the Fiends do not enjoy fighting the Frolickers. The Frolickers are a little too tanky for them, and they have a lot of damage reflection from Blisterback, so the Fiends are hurting themselves actually quite a lot. As the Burning Chariot of Tzeentch, he did not, ladies and gentlemen, he did not watch my mistakes you're making with Tzeentch video. He is shooting the Burning Chariot from the sky as he hits entirely Khorne's Bloody Fist. It was in the mistakes video. You need to land it. I know it seems dangerous, but it groups up your opponents and gets you way more damage than firing from the sky, because when you fire from the sky, he picks random targets to shoot at, and it's a disaster. This is why you've got to watch every Human Boy video. He'll save you your finals matchup. As the Nurglings of the Demons of Chaos starting to die, the Fiends are getting very low as well, and the Burning Chariot of Tzeentch is still trying to get good damage on the Rotting Riders, and it's doing okay, but man, if you watch the tips video, it'd be doing so much more damage. But it looks like a rear charge in from Svarak and the Khorne's Bloody Fist fighting on top of it. It is going to rout, as we discussed ad nauseum in that Nurgle game versus the Wood Elves. He has now lost the 15% damage resistance, so that's pretty brutal. Now, these guys will rally in the distance. They'll heal themselves up this whole time. It's going to be fine, unless Svarak chases them off. Then it's not going to be fine. Nurgle hasn't lost this game yet. Just saying that they are routing, and that is a bit of a problem. The Demons of Chaos are losing their front line, and that's going to be a big problem, because if you can get into a late game situation where it's just Plague Bearers standing around and, you know, slapping at you, it's going to be a terrible time. Fiends, like ogres, like any monstrous infantry or cavalry, do way better fighting on top of their own support. These ones are getting torn apart, as are the Chaos Furies, so Nurgle is coming back in it. And at Rancid Visitations, it looks like he's going to focus on Khorne's Bloody Fist. He wants to get rid of that scary melee combatant with his limited spell usage, rather than dealing with Svarak's barriers or the Burning Chariot of Tzeentch, which is already almost out of ammo, so I can also appreciate that is a good choice. I like that he's focusing. He's not spreading out his damage too much. So good job from Thagaraki. I enjoy that quite a lot. You can see the Burning Chariot, really not that much damage value, and it is almost out of ammo. Big engagement over here as Nurgle tries to commit to save their Chaos Sorcerer of Nurgle, who got dove on by Khorne's Bloody Fist. Chaos Furies of Khorne get peeled off. Now we have a bunch of Plague Bearers around. I really like Nurgle's position in this game. Fishy is up on damage value, but damage value is deceptive versus the forces of Nurgle. Lots of healing in that roster. You see the Fiends once again losing their Nurgling support. They are going to get torn to shreds, and in comes a big Tzeentch's Firestorm that needs to save this game. It's got to do insane damage versus the Plague Bearers, and to be fair, it really is doing a lot of damage to those Plague Bearers. And the Demons of Chaos know they got to snipe out the Nurgle caster to save Khorne's Bloody Fist. He can't take another Rancid Visitations overcast. They just can't let it happen. And they need to Lord Snipe. They need to do a lot of things. The Burning Chariot is out of ammo. It's now just a piss poor chariot combatant. Can Khorne's Bloody Fist carry? Can Svarak carry? I don't think so, but maybe. It's not like Nurgle's sitting on a ton of units. Bile Trolls are very healthy, but their leadership is asinine. What was that? Oh, he didn't want a friendly fire. He just wanted to cast it for the Nurgle passive. He just wanted to heal all of his units slightly. I don't think that's worth it, but I appreciate they didn't friendly fire his own units. I just think you should save for Rancid Visitations. There's a tier 2 fecundity. With the Demons of Chaos, you're not guaranteed to get a fecundity, so that's actually pretty clutch for them. But the Rotting Riders are surrounding Khorne's Bloody Fist. Bile Trolls running in as well, and they're going to put down that leadership debuff. Yep, there's the thing. Corrosive Bile minus melee defense. Leadership's low. Stomach acid -8. Korn's Bloody Fist is going to start crumbling. Without him, Zvark definitely can't win. We just saw Fecundity, so I'm pretty sure we don't have a tier 3 army ability of Zinch or something to come flying down. Korn's Bloody Fist barely manages to rally his leadership somehow by charging over, but Nurgle gets his own Fecundity, healing up all of his units right when he could definitely use it. Korn's Bloody Fist is going to fade away, and there goes a lot of Senfishy's firepower. And man, he could not get rid of that Chaos Sorcerer. As the Burning Chariot of Zinch whips around, actually manages to save him from some of the blue fire, and in comes a Rancid Visitation as a final middle finger out the door. That Chaos Sorcerer, who just would not die, hung on to the last second to get out all the spells he needed onto Zvark. Burning Chariot's about to die as Zvark is going to commit himself to chasing down the Chaos Sorcerer of Nurgle, otherwise he's worried that guy will come back. We still have some dogs in the distance. Nurgle has a lot of units, and Zvark will get army lost. And for all the Nurgle doubters out there, like Kukinko before him, Thagaraki will take Nurgle to a win, not seen since February. Casting is huge too, though. Oh, it is, but I just, as we were talking about at the start, I don't want all I do to be new player tournaments because I just want to also cast other stuff. I'm happy to cast these. It's not a burden, but it's also not the only thing I want to do ever. But JP hosts them every weekend, so feel free to hop in, make some friends. Very good final game. There was a point where Fishy was up and I thought Nurgle was in some trouble. Right around when the Rotting Riders routed, they were running away, but I liked in Thagaraki's build. I like the one Bile Troll. He doesn't overcommit onto them, but that constant -8 leadership is just a nuisance. It's a good build from Nurgle here. Good play too. The other side for Senfishy, I liked his build. He used Korn's Bloody Fist very well in this whole tournament, and it's not exactly a unit that you often see. So I did like that. I liked a lot of this. I honestly think he would have won if the Burning Chariot went into melee, and I don't know, if you didn't see my Zinch video, like instead of me just being an asshole and like saying, why didn't you watch the video? I'll see if I can recreate it quickly. But what I'm talking about is this concept. Burning Chariot of Zinch, and then, I don't know, just give me some Forsaken, sure, I don't care. Sandbox, fine. Watches I won't be able to recreate it on the fly now. Trying fun builds doesn't pay off. Prime, you got to finals. You did great today, and you get to live to fight another new player tournament. That's the thing. Wes/Thagaraki/Wesley Bravo is banned from all new player tournaments now because he's too good. He is punished for winning. You are not punished. See, you just got the big brain strats. All right, so here's what I was talking about. And then we'll cast 2 more replays, and then we'll call it a day. All right, so I get in range, I fire, I shoot at the side of this, but then if I give attack orders, sometimes, not all the time, but he might shoot at these guys way over here. Yeah, he's not shooting for the center of mass. And as you scatter more people, he just keeps firing at this not center of mass, and it can be really annoying. Like, see, there's models way out here, and he might choose to fire at them like that. So what I was talking about with the Burning Chariot that you should probably do is just go into melee. Because then when he fires, he's going to fire at what's closest to him. And he is constantly clustering them up and makes it easier for the vortexes to spawn in the unit. Whereas when he's out and about out here, he might fire at this stuff that's like over here because that's closer to him now that he's far away. But you can see the fire now spreads into the units and does more damage. And I mean, he's still flinging them all over the place. But the difference is what's close to him, right? Because here, when he's inside the Forsaken, what's close to him are the Forsaken that are clumping up, and the ones he's knocking away are so far away he's not going to shoot at him. When he's up here, he might shoot there. He shoots at the ones closest to him, which are the ones that are scattered. So the problem is either his shot or his melee scatter the units. But when he's in the air, the scattered units are closer, so he fires at them. Whereas in melee, the clumped units are closer, so he fires at them. So that's what I was talking about, if you care. Or go watch the Zinch video, because it was also in there. Prime is in the chat. Prime is Sen Fishy, if anybody wants to talk to one of the finalists. But he's mentioning that he took some more for fun builds, which is true. I mean, you took blue scribes, so I'm not exactly thinking you're a sweaty tryhard. But I was just offering some feedback with, even with your fun build, there's some micro optimizations you can do. But yeah, dude, it's a new player turn. Do you want? So we have 2 replays left for people that didn't get on stream yet. This one is for Dark Horse. It has Unlucky Spotify. We have cast a couple times here and there on this stream, but we haven't caught a Dark Horse game yet, so let's give him a moment in the spotlight. 2 games left, then we'll be ending the stream for the day. Nice viewer count today. Yeah, we're up near 100, which is a little surprising. Those are numbers we used to get when the DLC was more fresh. Recently, people have been kind of tuned out. For Norska of Unlucky Spotify, we have the Mist Stalkers, Beasts of Tashnar, and Maws of Savagery, triple Regiment of Renown Vanguard force, and a front line of Marauder Berserkers, backed up by Famir Great Weapons, Famir Balefiend of Shadows, the Melkos and Pit of Shades, and then Throg, the Troll King. Aside for Dark Horse, Dreadspear frontline, backed up by Dark Shards, including the Bolt Fiends. We have some Cold One Knights in the trees as well. Everybody's hanging out in trees today. And then we have a Master, Malice Darkblade, and Sorceress of Death combination. Deathcaster only has Spirit Leech. Cold Knights get charged by the Skinwolves and Beasts of Tashnar. They do get caught napping, so they didn't get a countercharge. And another big problem is they're still in the trees, where they take terrain melee debuffs. All of the Norscan units have Strider, so they don't take debuffs for fighting in the forest. So the Cold Knights are at a severe disadvantage. They got charged, and they're fighting in the opponent's terrain. That's going to be a big problem. Meanwhile, the frontline fight is going on. Nice Pit of Shades onto the Bolt Fiends, but the Berserkers are having a horrible start to this game. Looks like the Dark Shards got a ton of damage onto them, and they have to have the Wintertooth Crown and Fight or Die to keep them in this fight. Otherwise, they already would have routed, as the Bolt Fiends hold on for now. So Norska's front line is going a bit disastrous at the moment, but the flanks are going very well for them, as this fight continues to get worse and worse for the Dark Elves. Now the Mist Stalkers are here, and Famir Warriors love fighting heavy cav. So I think this 3v2, even though the Dark Elves now have a surround, I still think Norska is going to win that 3v2. Frontline, like we said, though, is going pretty horribly for Norska. Their 3 Berserkers are outnumbered and getting shot, and then Throg extends to try and save his Berserkers from the Dark Shards. He ends up getting shot by a couple of them, and now Malice and the Master are after him. He's now retreating, so good reaction from Spotify to not leave him in a bad situation. Pretty quickly realized he was getting ambushed, because remember, Malice and the Master were hiding in these trees, so it's not like he knew where they were or what he was going to be facing. We have a Cold Knight that was held in reserve now coming in on the flank, and if it can get a good charge on these Famir Warriors, it can get a lot of damage out. And meanwhile, in the back area, yeah, we can see a second Cold Knight has died, and the third just decided to opt out. So that's smart, not throwing good money after bad, just wants to fall back slowly with these Cold Knights. Ends up getting a good charge on the Mist Stalkers. Like, it looks like the Skinwolves fell behind a little bit, so then the Cold One Knights saw an opportunity to take a 1v1 with the Mist Stalkers while their murderous prowess is propped, so they have a bunch of extra stats, and they got a nice 1v1. Now the Maws of Savagery have joined, it looks like it's going bad again. Mouse is going to transform into Zarkan, which is pretty huge. The Master is routing away from Throg. But if Norska loses Throg, Dark Horse still has a shot of turning this game around on Spotify. I would say I would rather be Spotify right now. He's getting a lot of good damage out. He's already procced Zarkan. All those things are going pretty well for him. Balance of power is 50-50, maybe Dark Elf favored, but Norska has legs. They have a lot of units that heal and that kind of thing, and then they also get more stats the longer they fight from their Rage passive. So, yeah. Being 50-50 at this point, I would rather be Norska, but it's definitely not over by any means. Malice gets a nice Reaper of Souls off, damaging all these guys slowly. And we do have Dark Shards back here. That is a full health Dark Shard. Why aren't they pin cushioning Throg? They have orders to. I'm not blaming the player. I'm just shocked they're not doing more damage. There's a good volley. That was a little late. Very nice Pit of Shades coming out. If it's overcast, all these units are going to die. If it's undercast, they'll just take a little bit of damage. It looks like it's going to be undercast, but still, good thing to do as he was on his way out. Throg uses Wintertooth Crown to get through these spears back onto the Dark Shards that were shooting him. The Master rear charges him. Anti-large duelist guy. Pretty pathetic stats most of the time, but Throg is already almost dead and you're getting a rear charge. So this is the one time maybe the Master can be good. Malice is getting shit canned by these Famir. 2,700 value. Malice is almost dead. I should say Zarkan's almost dead. And it looks like we're going to be trading Lord for Lord, as the Demon Prince himself cannot withstand these Famir that have just been relentlessly beating his ass on this hillside. So Dark Elves are about to lose Malice. Norska has lost Throg, but I think the Dark Elves are going to be cooked. These Dark Shards now have no more defenders, so the Maws of Savagery can pick them off, and that is a lot of the Dark Elves' balance of power was a full health, full ammunition Dark Shard. That was fine. Malice died to the hero Famir. And that honestly won this whole game for Norska, is that Famir. Because imagine if Zarkan was still running around at like maybe 2/3 HP, but he flat out died to these Famir warriors. He just got completely rolled. Dark Elves have everything routing besides this one Dread Spear. That's the only reason they haven't lost this game yet. But I think Norska will soon run that down. I guess you're getting some skulls fallout. Mods ban Leonard Bullock. I don't want to hang out with him anymore. He's mean. That was the first time I saw a Throg vomit attack in a while. Yeah, he did a good job. Famir Caster's back, keep getting Spirit Leech, but the Maws of Savagery are just going to be a huge problem. And as these Dread Spears take damage, Army Loss is going to proc, because they were the only thing holding up the balance power, and then Berserkers got their hands on them. It's going to be GG. Hey, 100 Days Music, I feel like you're here a lot of the time I stream. I haven't been streaming as much recently, but fun fact for the 100 people that are still here, I do intend to stream tomorrow. It was going to be a Cash Money Domination King of the Hill, because that's a special event I was running on my server. Then something came up, so tomorrow I might be doing a Let's Play with Bretonnia. That's the one where I just sit in a lobby and play Bretonnia over and over again until I get 5 wins. Let me try some different builds. Could be fun. So maybe check it out tomorrow. 3 streams in 3 days, campaign, and then multiplayer again. That'll do a try-hard tournament or something. 98.5% sure I'm going to be streaming tomorrow. Did not think Malice would die. Clearly by my reaction, I was a little surprised that Malice got shit canned by those Famir that hard. Is Famir into Malice a good trade for Famir? For sure. Did I think it would go that badly? No. I didn't think it would go that badly. Wes. Final game for the night. I hadn't cast any Siegfault, so we're going to catch a Siegfault game. Do another one of those special tourneys. Which one, Prime? I'm just trying to think, because in my mind I have a lot of special tourneys. Are you talking about the weird ones I did like late at night or something, where I just had 5 people versus 5 people with thematic armies and like campaign exclusive units? Are you thinking of something else I did? The problem is I'm too creative and I have too many amazing ideas. So when you say special tourney, I'm like, I don't know which one. You gonna do another playthrough with the 3 factions the DLC comes out? Oh, survival? Survival's fun. I'll do some survival before that for sure. Okay. So Siegfault is here with Wood Elves. We haven't cast his Wood Elves today. We've cast Wood Elves, but I believe they've all been End of the Lion, not any Siegfault. Similar to that Skaven one. Oh yeah, the Skaven one where I had everybody on one team was Skaven, but they all had like different clan restrictions. We could do another one of those soon, sure. I like doing fun things like that. For the Tomb Kings of Scott, we have Skeleton Horse Archers and Nehekara Horsemen. We have 2 Sporkle Stalkers, the Aro Rashapti Great Bows, regular Rashapti, the Nehekara Warriors Skeleton Warrior Frontline, and Cetra the Imperishable with Usirians on his kitty cat. On the other side for Siegfault, Deepwood Scouts with Swift Shiver Shards, Durthu, Enigmas of Gairan, Wild Riders, and a bunch of Dryads, including the Race of the Frozen Heart. The Greenskins versus Wood Elves game was mine. No, it wasn't, Fireball. You're a liar. Whatever, then I'm casting 2 of your games. My bad. Chosen the Gods trying to get shots onto the Deepwood Scouts. This is a really good target for them. The problem is those trees. The spread shots are going to hit mostly trees. You can see they're not really getting through here much as they're starting to spray downwards. Very unfortunate for the Tomb Kings. They do not like maps with trees. To be fair, their home territory is entirely flat sand, so they're not really used to this at all. Scott's got a good battle line set up, but the Wood Elves advancing through the trees has saved them a lot of damage, and now the Wild Riders are in here. But unlike the Temple Guard that we saw Scott fight earlier, when the Temple Guard got on the Sepulchral Stalkers, it was all over the Sepulchral Stalkers. When Wild Riders get onto Sepulchral Stalkers, they can shrug it off. 80 armor versus those non-armor piercing weapon strengths, they'll be okay. What's way less good for them is 3 Deepwood Scouts firing through the trees onto them. That is taking a lot of damage. So I would like to see, and this is something I noticed in Scott's other games. I'm not trying to be a dick, but with a new player tournament, you can offer advice. I briefly mentioned it before, but one of the reasons that a lot of high tier tournament players play a lot of Tomb Kings with Ushopti Great Bows and Sepulchral Stalkers, and people are like, man, Tomb Kings are overpowered, man, these guys are so strong and all this stuff. And you might be playing this and you're like, man, my Sepulchral Stalkers don't do that much damage, they have very short range, and they get shot by arrows. Like, what makes this faction so strong? Why is everybody complaining? It's your ability to pivot, because these guys have artillery levels of damage, but they have 50 speed. So when the Deepwood Scouts move up like they are now, your chosen gods can counterfire, that's fine, but the Sepulchral Stalkers have to pivot, and you can very easily move them back here. And then you'll have 2 Sepulchral Stalkers over here shooting at like the Wild Riders or whatever. And if the Ushopti Great Bows ever get attacked by Wild Riders, you can have them run to your Sepulchral Stalkers, and Sepulchral Stalkers can shoot at the stuff that's chasing them, or you can run through your spears or whatever. But it's the ability to move that makes these units so strong. So when I've seen in Scott's games that he tends to plant them and just use them as battle stations that sit there and do damage. And that's missing the thing that makes this unit so good. And now it's like, okay, that unit's fine. If you're just going to use it for raw damage sitting still, then it's fine, but it's not OP. The reason they're so strong is you can move them really fast. And that happened with the Temple Guard. And again, I'm not trying to be a dick, but the Temple Guard have like 20 fucking speed and he has 50. So Temple Guard should not be able to touch you ever, and you can just fall back. And especially in a build like this, where he has 3 skirmish cav, 2 medium cav, and he has monstrous infantry, he has no pressure to hold any position. He has complete mobility control if he wants it, so he can just fall back. If the Wild Riders want to pursue him, they get swept in by multiple light cavalry. Or if the Wood Elves peel too far away from the Deepwood Scouts, your cavalry can fly in here. So a lot of the things I'm seeing is Scott's taking a few too many honest fights when he could be forcing the battlefield to shift on his terms and either pull the Wood Elves apart and ambush them, or if they want to cluster up, then you get to shoot them for free. But holding one position and just squaring up man-to-man against the Wood Elves is losing a lot of the advantages his build brought. So, just something I thought I know might help you in some of your games as well. Sepulchral Stalkers are starting to pull away, which is smart. The Deepwood Scouts will have to overextend to stay in range of them. And meanwhile, we do have a really good surround over here. The Wild Riders getting hit from behind by the Nekar Horsemen, hit from the front by the Ushopti. That's pretty great. So we are loving that. Sepulchral Stalkers getting good shots onto Durthu. These other ones are a little bit in the front line, so that's not ideal. Skeleton Horse Archers getting some shots out. I would love to see them dive those Deepwood Scouts in melee, but with the Wild Riders coming at them, they do need to peel away and continue firing, but it looks like they're just going to get caught for now. Sepulchral Stalkers getting really good damage onto Durthu, but again, I hate to be a stickler, but this is where we need to start falling back. Durthu has Foe Seeker popped, and he's still 6 speed slower than you. We can back up. We don't need to be fighting Durthu at point-blank range, so you can just get away. Enigmas of Gairon going to delete Ushopti, but nice job by the Nekar Horsemen, just diving into the backline, getting those Deepwood Scouts who have now lost all their support because the Wild Riders are busy peeling off some skirmish cav. The Enigmas are busy fighting Ushopti. All those things means no one's back there to defend the Deepwood Scouts, so good play by the Tomb Kings here. For the Wood Elves, Durthu is a good centerpiece, and he is disrupting that ranged fire, buying the Deepwood Scouts some time to stay alive. The Wood Elf frontline is winning man-to-man, but the Tomb Kings did bring a lot more, and this is a big play that they need to make to get back into this game. Surrounding Cetra with the Enigmas of Gairon is a huge win for the Wood Elves, and kind of what they need to really get the momentum back in their favor. So Cetra is about to take a lot of damage, and we know all the Realm of Souls procs are used, so he has no more real healing coming his way, so any damage is going to start to stick. Wild Riders charging after Skeleton Horse Archers. I don't know who hurted who where, but they did end up in a fight with Durthu. But if they can just, Cetra, if they can hold Cetra here while the Enigmas break back out, that is going to be great for them. Here we go. And once again, like we mentioned in the Dark Elf game, Cetra did manage to end up taking a fight in the woods, so he is getting terrain debuffed, while all Wood Elf units have Woodsmen, so they're not taking any terrain debuffs. They're just very tired. Durthu's still getting shot in the back by the Sepulchral Stalkers, who we abandoned to take the fight with Cetra. We do have the duel of the giant monsters, but on one side, Enigmas of Gyron are hitting Cetra in the butt, and on the other side, Cetra is getting shot in the ass by magical snakes and Ushabti Greatbow, so neither side's really having a good day of that. Ushabti Summon is chasing after the Deepwood Scouts, who did peel for themselves a little bit. Wild Riders also came back, so the Nehekar Horsemen that were back here got a lot of damage out, but did not finish the job. Now the Deepwood Scouts just need to run away from the Ushabtis. Pretty close game on our hands, but the Wood Elves are falling behind, with Durthu dying off. That's a lot of bounds of power knocked off the field for them. But if Cetra dies, I will kind of consider it a wash. All undead factions hate losing their leadership because then they just crumble faster. And we do have a fake-ass Ushabti that's about to fade away in 26 seconds. These Deepwood Scouts will be fine in a bit. Cetra's trying to chase down Durthu. He is gonna shatter him despite the Flesh of Stone, despite the regrowth that went his way from the Enigmas of Gyron. Enigma's chasing down Cetra, making sure he also dies, and he will. But with full ammunition Sepulchral Stalker, that's pretty healthy. Chosen of the Gods and other Sepulchral Stalker, not as healthy, not as full on ammo, but still have plenty. And you have a lot of infantry. I do think the Tomb Kings will take this. It would end up being a pretty close game. I think that bounce power is a little disingenuous to how close this game was, because really that could have gone either way for quite a while. But Cetra dying, Durthu dying, both of them, you know, takes a lot away from their armies. But 3 wounded Deepwood Scouts with a bit of ammo, and then some Dryads just isn't much to stand up to full health light cav with no ammo, full health skeleton spearmen, and then a couple weapons teams. So it looks like the Tomb Kings will be taking this one. Good target priority, hitting Durthu with all those shots from the Sepulchral Stalkers early on, especially when he tried to penetrate their backline. They just threw guard mode on and shot him in the face. That was nice. I would have preferred if they kited a little bit, because they didn't have to take any damage. They could have done the same thing while moving away, but at least they remembered to shoot him instead of fighting him in melee. Sepulchral Stalkers, this is the biggest bait I've ever seen. Their weapon strength with bonus versus large. It baits people into thinking you should take them in melee against large targets. Their missiles straight up do more damage than their melee stats, even against large targets at close range. So just throw guard mode on and shoot. Only use your melee stats if you're forced to, but yeah, I liked that he was just shooting Durthu in the face. That's fine. Bounce power is creeping back for the Wood Elves a little bit, though, as the Sepulchral Stalkers are getting shot by those Deepwood Scouts. The Enigmas are back in the fight. And hold on, are we doomed? Durthu has quite a ways to go before the Wood Elves get the Lord Has Fled recently debuff. Dryads with their immune to psychology holding the line, and the Sepulchral Stalkers, again, not kiting away, just opting into melee, taking a lot of extra damage they don't need to do. And that is costing the Tomb Kings a lot in this late game. Dryads still grinding through, and the Skeleton Spearmen and Skeleton Horsemen are starting to crumble. That slow undead crumbling is going to cost a lot. Ushabti Greatbow ROR has 1 volley left. It's going to use it on some clustered up Deepwood Scouts. Let's see the final shots. Ooh, nasty shots on those Deepwood Scouts, but now you are a half-assed melee Ushabti, my friend. We have a full health Nehekar Horseman. Never mind, Tomb Kings win. Easy. Easy game, easy life. Bounce of power is the most fraudulent thing I've ever seen. This is army losses already, because there's no shot you kill a full health Nehekar Horseman at this point. No shot at all. But Sigvald fought back pretty good. Brought us to a hyper late game situation. Those Skeleton Spearmen are toast. But the Chosen of the Gods versus the rest of this would have been close, but with a light cavalry at full HP, it is just cooked. I mean, these Deepwood Scouts are about to get run down, and those ones, then the Dryads, and the game will end. These guys are running. ×2 speed real quick. Oh, hey, look, he's going after the exact thing I thought he would. And then those, and then the game ends. Lab, I think I played okay. Lab, are you Scott? Lab, are you Scott? Yeah. I mean, you got the win. That's good. And you did do a lot of things right. The only reason I stopped and like mentioned all that stuff wasn't just be like, wow, I hate Scott, I want to make Scott feel bad. It was like, one, a tip to help you in the future and help you get more wins, but also just for anybody out there who was wondering. But like, yeah, I am serious about that though. Like the strength of the Sepulchral Stalkers and the Ushabti Greatbows is their crazy speed for a ranged unit. Normally ranged units play by the rules of if a melee unit catches me, I'm doomed. But these guys break that rule by being mass, like they're monstrous, so they can push through infantry pretty nicely. And with their high speed, they change the metric on how you normally counter range units. You can't just throw light garbage at them because they can outkite it. You have to hit them at ranged, or you have to hit them with stuff that's faster than them, like cavalry. But all of a sudden, infantry can't compromise your range tools. But if you don't utilize that, then yeah, they're just archers that are slightly taller. They're not really that great. So, it is what it is. You utilized them well enough to win this game, so I'm not trying to say you played bad. I just think you could make little optimizations. But I mean, this one still got 2,000 value, which is pretty insane. Chosen the Gods got 2,500 value, which is very nice. So, yeah, not bad at all, dude. Killing it. For Siegfalt, I mean, he's being pretty hard on himself in the chat. I think you played fine. We talked a lot about what the Tomb Kings could be doing, because I saw something I wanted to talk about, so I really leapt onto it. But you did overextend with Durthu a bit, where he just ended up, you know, getting shot by the Sporkle Stalkers without much support, as you yourself said. And then your Deepwood Scouts were a little clustered. So when the skeleton horse archers and whatever went back there, they could harass all three at the same time. This is my Warriors of Chaos tips video, but it was with skirmish cav, but your skirmishers apply the same. If the Deepwood Scouts are separated out, yeah, I don't want to reload that game and fast forward, but if your Deepwood Scouts are separated out, it's like, if the skeleton horse archer goes after one, the other two can turn and fire at it and shoot it in the back while the other one runs away or does his best to survive. But when they're all three together, the skeleton horse archer charging at one, he's charging at all three, and all three of them get compromised, and all three of them can't fire. So I would like to see if you scatter your range units a little bit more. Now, don't throw them into the fucking wind, but at least don't have them standing literally on top of each other. Have them spread out enough that if a horse archer goes after one, the other two can just sit and shoot at it. Because that's the easiest way to peel, is just to deal damage with your Wood Elf archers. Because with your type of build, you would need a lot more Glade Riders for that not to be true. And I don't think that your build was the problem. The Wild Riders are fine. The Enigmas of Gyron were fine. I think your build is fine. But then you need to position your archers in a different way. And then when they were clustered up, whenever the Chosen the Gods got a shot in, they hit multiple archers, which was also a problem. Thank you, Human Thing. Bedtime. Ooh, 4:10 a.m. Dark Horse, go to bed, dude. Go to bed. All right. As for the rest of you, is Tequila still streaming? If he's still streaming, I'll send you over there to say hi to another underrated multiplayer streamer. Another, meaning I'm one of them. Yeah. Yeah. I'm a dick now. Anyway. Yeah, so say hi to Tequila. Even if you don't intend to stay, just say hi to him so that he knows we care. And we'll be streaming tomorrow. I'll stream something. Something multiplayer, not the Queek campaign. I'll either host a fun tournament or I'll be playing Let's Play Bretonnia and just grind out some Bretonnia games. We'll do something multiplayer, we'll do something fun. Sound good? Sounds good. If you haven't liked and subscribed, do that. If you're here from Legend to Total War's tier list and you're wondering if I'm any good, I'm not. Get the fuck out. Unsubscribe. One of them. One of them. All right. Good night. Good night.